Hello, YouTube. This is Dark Tower Palaver, and I just threw something at Peter there right before we went live to make him all self-conscious.
I hate you. You know, it's not fair for you to put a mic in front of me and then hit record and not tell me. That's just not right.
No, I mean, so generally speaking, what we're talking about is before we even go live, I'll usually set Audacity, which is how we record our podcast. I set that to record, but usually I set it up early to make sure the sound check is working and stuff. So then before we go live, we have some conversation and stuff that happens. And yeah, last episode, Peter sang, much like the email jingle. I don't remember the exact context of what it was, but I just told Peter right before, literally like 2 seconds before we went live, that I did keep said singing.
Whatever it was. I don't even remember what it was.
I don't either.
2 weeks ago.
So that may be cropping up in the future here of Dark Tower Palaver.
Oh, man. Why did I agree to do the show again?
So hello, Cody. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the live chat. But yeah, we're here to record episode 120, the Roundtable 120, I should say. So that's where we're at here. We are in at the tail end of April. And yeah, let's go ahead and hit the intro and get started with the Roundtable number 120.
Yeah.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own Palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland to the Dark Tower came.
We are content, one from many. Let the Palaver begin.
Hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver. This is our podcast covering Stephen King's magnum opus, the Dark Tower series. My name is Tad.
And I'm #TadIsTerrible. I'm Peter.
I don't even deserve that.
You deserve that. You can't... It's the fact that you dropped it on me literally like, hey, by the way, I did this to you. Okay, we're going live. Like, it's fine that you did it. It's fine. I understand, like, part of recording is that you're going to get little sound bites from me. The email jingle came from that and everything. But to drop it on me 2 seconds right before we go live, that's just mean.
It's the best way to do it. Yeah, and then we already told the YouTube people, we'll tell the podcast people, I did capture Peter on a hot mic singing something last episode, and I did edit it away and got it in the old databases of Dark Tower Palaver. So that may crop up. I don't even remember what it was, but
see, that's the other thing. Is like he doesn't remember what it was. He won't play it for us now. He'll just tell us about it and then save it.
Yeah, I don't have it prepped to play now, but yes, it is something that likely will return. I mean, I can't even guarantee it's humiliation quality like the email jingle or anything. So,
oh boy,
everyone loves the email jingle though. I remember there was a period there where I didn't play it, and I got a number of people talking about it and emailing us about it, letting us know that they were upset that the email jingle was not there. The only other one that's got me is because I still do actually put an oi soundbite at the very end of the episode, just when I'm recording. It's always just a little thing I put at the end, and I just stopped doing that because I just started doing it randomly, and then I just stopped doing it, and then I ended up getting like people like,
hey, where'd the oi go?
where did the oi sound go at the end? So yeah, just those fun little things I do, and then I don't realize that I guess people are actually looking forward to them potentially.
Tad's got to have his fun.
Indeed. So let's go ahead and first of all jump into the intro stuff. First of all, I want to warn you about spoilers. This is a roundtable, so we will spoil everything of the Dark Tower series, including the end of the series and end of characters and stuff like that, the end of their journeys, all that stuff. So if you haven't finished all of the books, you may want to cry off this episode. Stick to our book club episodes. 95% of our book club episodes are spoiler-free, and the spoiler section is quarantined to the very end of the episode. We don't let spoilers... we're pretty much, they're almost entirely spoiler spoiler free, and we give you a lot of warning before you jump into the spoiler section. So those are the safe places to be for people that maybe haven't finished the entire series. This episode, though, is dangerous. Next up, if you want to find us, you can find us on Apple Podcasting. You can stream us on Spotify or Stitcher, and you can find us on any podcasting service that's out there. If you want to subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those, we'd appreciate that. You can find the show notes at darktowerpalaver.com. All of the stuff we cover in today's episode, there will be links over there. If you want to go and read the articles that I reference or anything I show Peter on, like slideshow-wise, if there's something, I don't think there's really any image stuff this episode. You can find all that over there, as well as you can find the new questions. If you're a new listener, we consider you part of our extended content, and we welcome you. On the darktowerpalaver.com, we have a section for new listener questions. Those are things that if you want to introduce yourself to the quartet, you can answer those questions. You can answer one of them. You can answer all of them. You can answer anywhere in between, and send in maybe an introductory email. We found that those are fun questions to kind of get to know all of the listeners as they come to the show. Last up for me, if you want to support the show, you can do that on Patreon at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. We just yesterday had our hangout, our monthly hangout, which is exclusive for Patreon. We talked about the Hearts in Atlantis movie. We did Hearts in Atlantis last month, but we forgot to actually cover the movie. But I think it worked out pretty well to then talk about the movie on a separate episode. So yeah, if you want to go hear us talk about Anthony Hopkins and the late Anton Yelkin starring in Hearts in Atlantis from 2001, we just recorded that in the Patreon vault yesterday. Then if you want to contact us, you can do that in any number of ways that Peter can let you know about.
Best way to reach us is email. It's darktowerpalaver@gmail.com. And then watch our shows. It's youtube.com/darktowerpalaver, as well as our other content aside from just the podcast. Like the video, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications for when we post something or go live. And then our social media is facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. We have a Twitter. It's @darktowerpod. That's @darktowerpod. And then our Instagram is darktowerpalaver. That's all one word, no spaces. And then check out our merch. It's tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver. You got the two different versions of the logo. You got the Dark Tower Palaver original one that Tad's got, and then you got the truth, the better one,
No.
the hashtag Tad is terrible.
The slanderous one, of course.
The real one.
No, I don't know about that. Yes, so that is it for the announcements. If you want to, or next up, let's talk about the calendar. We have a few things to mention coming up. Next episode will be the very first one of May. Will be our next book club, part 15 of the Wastelands. And then that will actually, then we'll have one in June, or I'm sorry, May 21st is the Roundtable 121. But then we want to let you guys know that the one that would normally be on June 4th, which is 2 weeks after that, which would be Roundtable 122, we are actually going to be moving that one to the 11th. We have a basically Utah's local theme park. Our work is doing a day where they pay for the tickets, and since that place charges almost as much as Disneyland and it's nowhere near the quality of Disneyland, there's no way I'm ever going to go to that place if not for my tickets being purchased by someone else. So we will not be able to make the 4th, so we will be on the 11th for that episode, just so you guys know that the 4th, couple episodes from now, will not be on the normal day.
Yeah.
So yeah, now
Cody, you said, "Dang, I missed Hearts in Atlantis" in the chat. If you're a Patreon, we record it and release it, so you can still go listen to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And if anyone signs up new to Patreon as well, all that stuff's in
all the hangouts.
Yeah, all that stuff's in the archive. Everything we do on there, we record and post in there, so that if anyone signs up new, they can go and hit it. Or if you can't, if you already are a patron and you couldn't make it to be part of the live hangout, you can always listen to it back later on. So.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, bummer that you didn't get to hang out with us, because Mike was there yesterday and was able to hang out with us and chat with us and everything. That's really fun to do, to have someone just be able to chime in, and because both you caught something that I missed. So I like that. I like when we're able to talk with our fans. Yeah, indeed. That's definitely a lot of fun. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump on over to the news, I suppose. Although there's one that last time I mentioned that was one that we skipped last time because we had so much to cover. So we're covering it now. So this is maybe less newsy. It was back from March 24th, 2022. And it is 10 Stephen King short stories that deserve a feature film.
this is a fun little write up here. Now that you've actually delved into the short stories quite a bit, so
We'll be talking about that later.
we'll talk about that. I mean, everybody knows we've already talked about that you were going to.
I read
Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew. I did read. I read If It Bleeds now, and we have an update on Everything's Eventual. So
we'll talk about that in the Palaver section. But yeah, this is kind of fun because we've actually discussed a topic that we haven't come around to yet. We had to wait for you to catch up a little bit on some short stories, but basically said that like the challenge was if you were going to make a streaming one-off series, which could be 6 to 10 episodes, something like that. If you're going to do that for a Stephen King thing and you're going to adapt short stories for each episode, how would you fill that? I don't know. Maybe we should hammer an actual. I'd say 10 max. But if you do end up hitting less than that, you could still do that. But
okay.
I don't want to put a date on that yet. But I do think
put it
that's
in the open challenges.
Yeah, that'll be an open challenge. We'll have we'll definitely cover that here this year. But I think this kind of goes along with that a little bit. Although this is written by Katie Moyer, and she is actually writing this as though these should be feature films, which is always fun. And so she writes over at Horror Geek Life and again March 24th, 2022, and that's a fun picture there on the cover.
What is that? Children of the Corn?
No, I think that's
that's from Everything's Eventual. That's the road virus.
Road
heads
virus.
north.
Yeah, which actually still might be my favorite Stephen King short story.
Really?
Oh, dude, I absolutely fucking loved that one. And that was the first thing when I read that, I was just like, this needs to be a fucking movie. This would be amazing. So, and then also, I guess we missed it in the chat here. Zach is in the chat as well as Spencer. So welcome, guys. All right, so jumping in here, she says, I find it amazing the number of times the industry returns to Stephen King properties, from Carrie to Pet Sematary to It, while leaving so much else on the table. King has hundreds of short stories, some of which have been made into some of the most celebrated films of all time, Shawshank Redemption and Stand By Me. I'm trying to think, is there any more you could add into that? Those are probably the big
Green
ones.
Mile.
That's not short stories, though.
Oh, off of the short stories?
The Mist.
The Mist,
yeah. And she goes on and says, and yet so many properties remain unfilmed, with a growing lament by audiences for original IP on screen. Why not invest in a story that marries never before seen on screen, but also has built-in audience of fans that the industry is always looking for? So what do you think? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it's the thing with Stephen King is he writes such interesting stories. You said this about not Billy Summers, but the other one. Later. There's some of these stories, and I'll get into it later when I go through Everything's Eventual. There's some of these stories that I wanted full-length feature novels from these ideas.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is this not a novel? Like, I want this.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, this would be great.
I remember telling you that is like when you're reading Stephen King short stories, that is the downside, is that sometimes you're reading a short story and you're like, dude, I want this to be a full 300, 400-page novel. And then it's not. It's just a short story, and you're like, God damn it, I want more.
No, it's true. That's something that I definitely there are certain short stories that I want to see on film, and there is a couple in Everything's Eventual. But like I said, I'm going to save that for the Palaver section when we get there. But
yeah, okay,
just short stories. That's
all right. So the first one here, I believe, is one you've read. I think because I've read it. I think you've read the ones that I've read now.
Okay.
And it is Nona. And then she also gives us a dream
Nona.
director. So the dream director is Mike Flanagan. And this is the story.
It's got to be a horror one then.
So this is the story of an unnamed college dropout on the road who is beset upon by a captivating woman whose sheer presence causes him to participate in some truly horrific activities.
Oh, yeah.
To, quote, prove his love for her. The protagonist is himself. Of another ilk. He's introduced as a Rambo-type hippie, and then in parentheses she says, I'm talking about the opening act of First Blood, nothing past that, which of course, yes, because that's the thing is Rambo's almost kind of just this like cultural like icon now, but like so much, everything of the sequels has ruined that. Like if you watch the original, like originally he was going to die at the end of the original movie, and I think if they would have done that, that may have gone down as one of the best dramas of all time for like, Vietnam veteran and just like all that kind of stuff. But then he just became this cartoon character, Reagan era, whatever, and it's just action nonsense, and it just takes away from just the. It's almost like a horror movie. How many horror movies have come out and it's just like a brilliant fucking movie, and then the sequels come out and just pollute everything that exists about the first one.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
I mean, almost any of them, really.
That's true. There hasn't been many. Friday the 13th got better for a couple movies. As good as the first one is, not having Jason.
Yeah, and then the second one not having the hockey mask. Like,
yeah,
there's certain elements.
There's a progression there for Friday the 13th. Yes, they're still cheesy as hell, and I love them for that aspect of it. But
like Saw, for instance.
Saw
is one of the greatest horror movies of all time, in my opinion. Especially of the modern era, from this new century on. But everyone sees it in a certain way, and everyone sees it the way they see it because of all the sequels, which lost the good storytelling, lost the genius writing, and just became all about the gore and the violence and stuff.
And the traps.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm glad she points out that's what she's talking about for Rambo.
Yeah.
And then she says, who is persecuted for his otherness. And she says there's a lot to play with in terms of identity here, and a possible backstory surrounding seemingly troubled youth would open a world of possibilities. That's why I like Flanagan for this, because it's also a deeply intimate story about mental illness, relationships, and capacity for evil. Nona herself is a captivating mistress whose mystery is held so close to the vest she would be entrancing on screen. So, what do you think of that?
I think it would be really good. The thing that came to my mind is I'm thinking more and more, now realizing which story this is.
Yeah.
Because I don't recognize the titles. I recognize, the plots kind of things. For a lot of them. There's a couple, Little Sisters of Valyria, I obviously know what that's about. But this one, when I realized which one it was, I'm like, the thing I remember thinking when I read this one in Skeleton Crew was, damn, this could have one of the best twist endings in Hollywood history. This could be right up there with, Sixth Sense for a lot of people, because not a lot of people read Stephen King. Not a lot of people read Stephen King short stories.
Yeah.
But having Nona not be real at the end would be such a twist.
Yeah.
If they did it right. And I agree with her. I would trust Flanagan with it.
Oh, yeah. I trust Flanagan with anything.
Flanagan recording paint drawing for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Tad's there.
As far as horror is concerned, I think he is the modern master of horror.
Oh,
yeah. I think I had been given that title to James Wan. Of course, John Carpenter is the ultimate master of horror in my mind. But I think James Wan I gave credit to for the early 2000s and stuff. And I think that of this newer, last decade or so, I think Flanagan has surpassed James Wan in a lot of ways. So, I would love to see it. I think that'd be good. Also, this mentions Ace Merrill in this story, as well as someone with the last name of Melanfont.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fun little thing there.
Yeah.
Since we just read Hearts in Atlantis, as well as what was his name? Melanfont in Hearts in Atlantis. What was it Ronnie? He's the one that starts the Hearts stuff.
Oh, yeah, Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie. So,
no, Ronnie isn't he the one that has the crow's foot?
No, that's no. That I'm blanking on his name. That's not it. So, but ultimately, the other thing is that Hearts in Atlantis, it does mention that Ronnie has a sister. So, the girl that is mentioned in this with Melanfont's last name may be connected there. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
So next up, and this was actually one that I couldn't get into very much, and I think it may have just been more of my mood.
The Rat.
What's that?
The Rat?
No.
Oh.
Beach World.
Oh, right.
So
yeah, this is where it's all sand.
Yeah.
Crashed spaceships.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad. It just didn't get to me for some reason. It didn't really capture me. And she says dream director is Lee Wanell. And she says a sci-fi horror tale that roots itself in the mystery of sand. Yep, sand. But it does a lot more than that. Beach World is a beautiful study on the psychological effects of isolation. It's a slow burn with building tension between main characters Shapiro and Rand that pivots to the more monstrous implications of the planet on which they have crash landed. With CG creating masterful robotics on screen, like Interstellar, the androids can can be fleshed out red herrings. There are memories of surfing beaches, a longing for the old, and a third act with a rescue ship that, while very abrupt in the story, could be drawn out to give weight to what is to come next. Plus, it's a mystery. Is Rand going completely psycho, or is something else on the planet that could be haunting the space voyagers?
Yeah.
Wanell's work toes a line of horror and science fiction, as displayed in Upgrade, would play very well here, especially with a slow burn tension. His more active storytelling would give Beachworld the boost it needs to cover a feature length, adding some action and what could be just a lot of eerie landscapes. So,
Yeah.
What did you think of this story?
I didn't mind it. I thought it was just kind of like, oh, geez, crashed, stranded. That's it. And then, of course, King comes in and slaps me in the face with a sand planet monster.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it was good. It was, obviously, it's one of those ones where it's like, man, I want more of this world. Like, this universe, I guess you should say.
Yeah, definitely.
You got space travel, you got pirates, you got, like, is he worth anything to save, and everything like that.
Yeah. Like I said, I had a hard time with this story, but I would definitely be open to seeing it adapted because, again, I think that more of my problems with the story was more of myself than it was the stories.
Sure.
Kind of like The Long Walk, I think, is my ultimate example of that. Like, I didn't overly enjoy The Long Walk, and I don't think that was its fault. I just don't think I was in the mood for it. And rather than just putting it aside and coming back to it later, I kind of forced my way through it, which is probably not the best thing to do. And that's a little bit easier to not do when you're talking a full book like The Long Walk. But you're in a short story collection like this, it's kind of hard to skip one. So,
Robert says in the chat, am I supposed to see a face in the water /cloud?
Possibly.
Yeah. Like, ooh.
Very, very sinister there.
Yeah.
I like it, though. And I don't know when Katie wrote this. I guess it was published in this basically last month. But this one is actually being made, so I don't know if she knows that or not. But it's The Boogeyman.
Okay.
And she says dream director is Jordan Peele, which Jordan Peele's obviously awesome.
Yeah.
And thanks to the Emoji Movie for putting him into directing.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for them offering him the turd as casting wise, that's what caused him to quit acting. And quitting acting got us Get Out and Us, and then upcoming Nope.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. So she says, The Boogeyman is one of the first things I ever read of King's work, and to this day it chills my soul, even more so now that I'm now as a new parent. She says it hits a very vital nerve of parenthood, the idea of putting your child to sleep and them not waking up in the morning. Shivers, she says. But what if there was something otherworldly causing this? It's a story about the destruction of a family, the unraveling of a father, and the horrific reveal that he might not be going may not be going crazy. The framing story in the psychiatrist's office provides a lot of potential for unreliable narrators and undermines our understanding of the situation. The visuals in the story are so unsettling, needing to be handled with a gentle hand, but without diminishing diminishing the horrific. And what starts with a mystery raveled in a pathological breakdown of a father quickly turns into the realm of horror. Jordan Peele is an expert crafter of suspense, creating the scenes that slow burn amidst intense moments of shock and awe would be perfect for the story of Boogeyman. His work in Get Out would play very well here because we know something is wrong, but we're not sure what. That's exactly how the Boogeyman could be taken on in a feature film. So, I haven't read this one, actually.
Neither. I was like, did I read this one?
No, this one is in Night Shift, which hasn't been put on Audible yet. If you do this one, not in its entirety. So the only way to read this one is the old-fashioned way. So I'm hoping though that at some point Audible will get on getting an A-list actor cast to read this one. Yeah. But we've talked about it a number of times now because they're developing a movie on this. So we have talked about this one a little bit, and there is a movie upcoming. So it'll be interesting to see what we end up getting when that does come out. Next one here is The Gingerbread Girl. And she says the dream director is Karen Kusama. And she says, despite being a short story, more of a novella actually, there's a whole lot to unpack in The Gingerbread Girl. King's story of Emily, who after the loss of her 2-month-old child takes up running, goes so much further than its in its implications than what's on the surface. The the first act of a marriage falling apart, and Emily running to her father's house on the tiny Florida Key. Her growth as a runner and overcoming the grief, and of course the horrific twist that the tiny empty key boasts the vacation home of a wealthy man who gets his kicks by murdering young women. And he's got his eyesight on Emily. Technically, she puts her sights on him and sees something she shouldn't have. So, sounds like kind of that classic story of like the rich people hunting other people type thing. And then it says, with all the layers that play here, from the outwardly horrific to the emotionally underpinned, Catherine Kusama's forays into horror hits the right notes to capture Emily's internal and external struggles. She definitely doesn't shy away from the grotesqueries, such as Jennifer's body, but also handles a subtle with delicate eye, like in The Invitation. Even the story mentions that it isn't a horror movie. This is Emily's life, and the film shouldn't have. The film should have a lived-in feel that Kusama's films so often carry. So that sounds like an interesting. That sounds just like a Stephen King one, though, right?
Yeah.
Like she loses a kid, she starts running, and then kind of running to this island where she thinks her dad is, and it turns out that it's an abandoned island owned by some crazy guy that wants to hunt young women. That just sounds exactly like the kind of stuff that Stephen King would do. How many times have you started a Stephen King story thinking, oh, this is one thing, and then it turns into a whole other fucking thing?
All the time. Mark says in the chat, it's interesting how Florida slowly makes its way into King's writing as he gets older. It's almost as if he was spending more time there.
Yeah, and he probably is. Because there was something more recent too. We've seen Florida a little bit more.
He went down to Florida in 11/22/63.
Okay, yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
What else was there with Florida?
Yeah, I feel like there was some other stuff. I'm just blanking on what it was. Mike says Doom McKee, which I have not read.
Doom McKee's a Bachman novel, though.
No,
right?
no.
Isn't it a Bachman?
No, that one's way more recent.
Oh, is it really? I always think that it's a Bachman for some reason.
Yeah, Doom McKee is 2008. So, yes. Mr. Bachman is long dead in the ground by the time that was written.
That's true.
So, okay, and then next up is Blockade Billy. And then the dream director, she says John Krasinski. So, Jim. Because I think he's getting close to getting out from under that.
No.
Being Jim from The Office.
No.
You know what, with the Quiet Place and whatnot. But I do still think he still has a little ways to go before he's fully out from under that.
He needs to be Mr. Fantastic, then he'll be out of it.
It says Blockade Billy is another one of King's love letters to baseball. The story revolves around a minor league team whose catchers are going down like drummers in Spinal Tap. In a desperate attempt to find someone to fill in until they have a permanent replacement, they pull up Willie Blakely from the small town league. His exploits soon become legendary, earning him the moniker Blockade Billy. But there's something off. He only ever repeats what others say, captivates the ornery pitcher who doesn't like anyone, and some of his home plate blocks end, well, badly. It's an underdog sports movie wrapped in a mystery and ends in a horror. Some of my favorite things.
Jeez.
I am very intrigued to read this now.
I know, right?
She says Krasinski's work in A Quiet Place proves he's up to the task. He's definitely got a baseball flavor about him. His work would very much captivate the spirit of old school baseball while definitely navigating the more horrific elements of the film adaptation. I'm definitely intrigued to read this now. I got to figure out where this is. I actually think on our list, it's actually listed as its own thing, which is weird, even though it's a novella. Yeah. So, again, I pulled our list that we have on our shared Cautet count. I pulled that straight from Stephen King's website, but there's some times I'm really finding some stuff where I don't fully get, why he lists things the way he did on there.
Yeah.
Because, there's things like Sleeping Beauties, but then there's not the Gwendy's ones aren't on there. So it's kind of interesting. We're going to have to maybe reevaluate that. But, yeah, I might have to read this. This sounds like a lot of fun.
Cody says Blockade Billy was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check out. Oh, and the other thing with Krasinski, too, is he's Jack Ryan.
That's true.
So not only is he Quiet Place, but Jack Ryan, that's a pretty iconic character that he embodied. And he's now played more than any other actor because his was a show and not a movie.
Yeah.
So he's spent more hours as Jack Ryan now than every other actor.
Yeah.
So probably combined.
We got, what? Ben Affleck.
Is in one.
Harrison
Ford's in two, right?
I think so.
And then is it Baldwin, the first one?
One of the Baldwin.
Yeah, let's see. Jack Ryan actors. I think it was it John? Oh, Chris Pine as well. There was that terrible freaking Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin, The Hunt for October. Ben Affleck's in one. Harrison Ford. Yeah, the Chris Pine had that one where they tried to like kind of reboot it ish, but then Krasinski was in the show. So yeah, definitely more hours playing that role. And then Robert says I've had Blockade Billy on my shelf for years. Yard sale find. After your description, I've got to read. Yeah, me too.
There you go.
Like I'm the same. Like after reading this, I'm like I want to go read that now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to.
He only repeats what others say first,
which is interesting.
That's a weird way to live.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing I've read about like that. There's kind of it might be almost the case entirely for The Big Lebowski for the dude. That if you actually watch that movie and break it down, like almost everything that he says, he's heard from somebody previous. Like, and I haven't gone through and actually like broken it down like myself, but I've just read online where people are like, dude, it's actually weird. He mostly repeats what he's heard previous in the movie to like fill
like
in.
If you wrote down all of his lines that he had in the movie and then rewatched it
and find,
you would see that in scene 7, what he says was said in scene 2 by this character.
Yeah, indeed. So
interesting.
It doesn't necessarily have to be super awkward. It could
be
kind of beyond most people's notice, but I have a feeling the way that's described that it may be more awkward. So next up is Quitters Inc. Let's see. She actually gives kind of an interesting story about her dad here, and I'm just going to leave that off. If you want to go read it, go ahead and check darktowerpalaver.com and go read it, because I feel like it's her story, and I don't want it's only tangentially connected to this, so I'm just going to skip to the actual part where she talks about Quitters Inc. But it's a good story about how her dad tricked her into not smoking. So definitely highly recommend reading it, though. I just felt like it'd be weird to just read that because I don't know. It feels like her story. So go over to darktowerpalaver.com when the show notes are posted and read this. But on the Quitters Inc. part, she says the actual story of Quitters Inc. plays out like in a slightly different fashion, with Richard Dick Morrison attempting to quit smoking and being referred to a small firm founded by a mob boss who died of lung cancer. The threats of aversion therapy are directed mainly at Dick's family, and the narrative plays out over several months. Could grow a full world of paranoia, close calls, and terror. It's got a gritty underworld feel and she says dream director is Scott Derrickson, which is a great director. Sinister, Doctor Strange, doing the Black Phone here in a couple months, which I'm really excited for.
You did Doctor Strange?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, he quit the second one. So.
Oh, okay.
And says that Scott Derrickson excels in, but it's also laced with dark humor that makes our mafioso villains quite endearing. The premise is so simple and goes so deep into the upheaval of Dick's life that it'd be truly a terrifying movie. So basically, the gist of it because she doesn't really fully outline it, but it sounds like you basically hire this basically tied into a mob. Kind of a mob culture, and you hire them to help you stop smoking, and they use their tactics to make sure you don't go back into smoking. So just imagine what that might look like with a mafia, a mafia group keeping you away from smoking.
I think I would quit smoking.
yeah, exactly.
That's gonna motivate me. Not to have my wife's kneecaps busted.
Yeah, exactly. Because it does say it's aimed more at his family, which that's I think that'd be a good way to go about getting things accomplished.
Motivation.
Yeah, indeed. And then Robert says would be an interesting update with today's tech. And that too, yeah. Yeah, some of these were probably written in, definitely in the older days. And modern technology would definitely make things a little bit more crazy, especially with that. If you got mob bosses pulling some NSA stuff and accessing his phone and webcams and stuff, like that would be very dangerous. This next one.
Or they just put little tiny security cameras inside his house to monitor him. Yeah.
And this next one I was unaware was a short story / novella because I haven't really done that much research into it, and it is Rage, which is obviously the famous one that is out of print at King's request. And she says the dream director is Jennifer Kent. And she says Rage is pretty famously out of print in the U.S. by request of King himself after being linked to 4 school shootings. First editions copies sell for $1,200 on eBay, and the 1985 Bachman book collection can run you up to $100 in used bookstores. that include this.
Yeah.
King wrote the book during his own high school years, clearly as a cathartic exercise in his youthful angst. But it's pretty clear why the story was taken off the shelf. The students held hostage by a deeply disturbed school shooter, Charlie, begin identifying and understanding him over the course of the 4-hour entrapment. The book ends with Charlie, now institutionalized, receiving a hopeful note saying, "There's a lot of us pulling for you, Charlie." So definitely strange.
Yeah.
The short story is a compelling read. A disturbed Breakfast Club meets Carrie. The bullying, abuse, and mental illness of Charlie's upbringing confronts hard truths about the lack of access to real support for youth trauma. You're not meant to sympathize with Charlie. It's more so a portrait of the human capacity for evil. With her adept handling of trauma, Jennifer Kent would be a beautiful choice for the psychology of the work. But rewrites would be necessary, veering away from the Lord of the Flies and more towards Battle Royale, where we have true heroes working against Charlie. The end of The Mist was changed in horrifying fashion for the screen, and I think Rage's final act would be adapted in a modern way to undercut Charlie's actions and make him a truer villain of the narrative. So, I mean, I don't think it'll ever happen because I think that if there's any one thing that is like untouchable in a lot of schools of thought when it comes to filmmaking is school shootings, because like suicides, they tend to be inspired. Like one happens and then it will inspire another one to happen. So having a movie portray it would probably be directly linked to actual shootings happening. So I don't think we'll ever see that happen.
No. And I honestly don't want to see it. I got to be perfectly honest with you. Just my personal opinion is that I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's one of the things me and you have talked about this, just, off mic and everything. And we're not going to get into it more so than this. Just don't glorify it. Don't give them that, because that's kind of the thing that they feed off of with that. So for me personally, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I am interested to read it, though.
I am interested to read it because it's King.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see it, and I love that King has it pulled and everything like that. I agree wholeheartedly with it. If it inspires people to do that, no, that's the right thing to do. That's just, again, my opinion. We're not going to go farther past that. I didn't recognize the director's name, so I looked her up. Jennifer Kent. She directed The Babadook.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that one is that's one of the ones that you gave me that year that you did my horror fest, where I watched a horror movie every day in October, and my wife happened to watch that one with me. She didn't watch all the movies with me, but she happened to watch that one with me, and I occasionally I'll just do that to her. Babadook.
I need to watch that again. I haven't watched that since it came out.
Yeah, she gets all pissed at me whenever I do that to her.
That is a fun movie.
It is.
That's a lot of
creepy kid.
Yeah. You can never go wrong with creepy kids, because kids are inherently creepy.
There you go.
So there's usually very little you have to do to make them more creepy. You just let kids be kids, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I love those things when I find them on Twitter, too, where someone's like, oh, yeah, my kid just told me about the lullaby lady that comes near her bed and sings lullabies but doesn't have skin. It's just like, okay, set the house on fire.
Yep, that's perform an exorcism. The power of Christ compels you, and all that, holy water and everything, and then let's move.
Yeah, we're out.
I learned my lesson from The Conjuring. Don't stay in the house.
Yeah, exactly. Mike says cement shoes would solve that habit. And that's definitely true. And then he also says the picture looks like a young Stephen King, which that would work, I guess, right? To have it. I wonder if some of these artists do that on occasion, where they kind of inspire.
Well, this is who wrote it. I see a picture of him younger. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly, and it works. I mean, Yoda, the guy that created Yoda, put his own face in Yoda, and I think that's why he's so endearing. You look at some of the concept art for Yoda, it's like, ugh, it's like something more out of Dark Crystal, and it just I don't think that would have worked. So sometimes it's good to put the creator's own face in there somehow. So next up, number 8, the road virus heads north.
We were just talking about this one.
Yep, Dream director Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, God.
And she says, in thinking of the dream director for The Road Virus Heads North, I went through a few more classic choices like James Wan or Andy Muschietti, whose proven abilities to create novel jump scares in an industry that's full of cliched jumps would work very well for this more classically terrifying horror tale. The story centers on horror writer Richard Cannell, who picks up a bizarre and captivating painting at a yard sale. He learns that this is the last remaining work of a disturbed artist who killed himself himself after burning all of his other paintings. As Richard continues on his road trip, the wild-eyed man with the sharp teeth in the painting changes with each mile. Something about the changes become more familiar, hitting closer to home, literally and figuratively. It's building tension and picturesque gore, and thus enters Guillermo del Toro, famous for the enchanting nature of his works and ability to capture the beauty of the misfits. Del Toro would give a hauntingly alluring gaze to the more straightforward horror short adaptation for the big screen. She says it would need some fleshing out, an opening, book signing, more stops along the road trip to really make it a road trip movie, which is exactly what it is. A road trip horror is a rare breed of amazing, and Road Virus could fulfill many tropes with a gradual intensity that is also another one of Del Toro's specialties.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I just want it. I don't care who directs it. I mean, of course I would say Flanagan, but that's just...
Cody points out that this has already been made. I watched the Dollar Baby of the Road Virus during the festival.
Yeah, and there are some of these that have probably been done with the Dollar Babies thing. I think I think the point of what Katie's writing and what I'm hoping for would be wide, big movies made out of them. Because I would be interested. And I also think the Road Virus was also adapted in one of the TV shows as well.
Really?
One of the ones that did King stories back in the late 90s or early 2000s, and I do believe one episode did cover this story. So I think it's been adapted twice at least. So, but never in a full grandiose manner that I think I think some of these deserve. So, next up, The Man in the Black Suit, and then director Michael Chavis. Let's see, she says, when it comes to The Man in the Black Suit, it's all about atmosphere. Narrator Gary recounts an encounter many years before when he was a young boy. Though the meeting is brief, there's still plenty here that could build a genuinely intense horror film. First, Gary tells us that his brother died recently of a bee sting. Expanding this into a full opening of the film adds emotional weight and everything that comes after. Yeah, because there's no better way to start a King movie than watching a brother die.
Yeah.
It works. While Gary is fishing, he is accosted by a titular man in the black suit. The man is described intensely, a frightening presence that captures the imagination and, if done right, would be absolutely terrifying on screen. The man tells Gary lies about his family, but just believable enough to to enhance the narratives. Michael Chavis has a knack for this kind of tension and building a foreboding presence that somehow haunts Gary. While in the short story, Gary is lamenting a possible second encounter with the man. A feature could twist expectations as we see this final showdown in all of its gory glory. That's a fun thing to say. It's a brief encounter with the devil, so building on that brevity to create tension for a future runtime would mean atmosphere. So sounds like kind of a child encountering maybe Satan type thing, and that would be terrifying.
Absolutely would.
And again, there's no better way to get people's attention than killing another child in the first scene. I mean, it's easy when you're watching like it to just like kind of get numb to the fact that you're seeing children being brutalized. But generally speaking, in other movies like Halloween, for instance, the 2018, his first kill is a little kid, and that bothers people. Yeah. So with Pennywise, though, he does it so often, you just kind of get used to it. Except for the girl under the bleachers, though. I remember that quite upset you. Oh, yeah. In theaters.
It really did.
Yeah, that was the second movie, though, yeah?
Yeah, started the second one.
Yeah. Well, not the start. The start was what's his name?
Mellencamp?
No. Is it Adrian Mellon?
Adrian Mellon.
Yeah, I think he's the beginning of the movie because he's the beginning of he's the thing that sparks the
new cycle.
Yeah, but the little girl does happen a little bit later, so that's... And then last up here is Rainy Season. And this the director she has here is Michael Dougherty. And then it says, Killer Frogs Assemble. It's been a long while since we've seen a good infestation creature feature, the likes of the bees or arachnophobia. Rainy Season has a double whammy of folk horror and animals in revolt. A couple arrives in a small town of Willow for the summer vacation, only to discover that they are this season's tribute. In true folk horror fashion, it's superstition meets supernatural as outsiders enter a tight-knit community whose quote unquote old man Ralph, much like Friday the 13th, their way around the couple, telling them they shouldn't be here and should leave, but it's all part of the ritual. See, a plague of frogs with razor sharp teeth is about to rain down with the season's first rainfall, and as long as the frogs eat the outsiders, the town is safe from certain destruction. And in the hands of the right director, it would be a totally batshit crazy town awesomeness. Doherty has the right amount of cheese. See this sentient gummy bears in Krampus, which, yes, that's glorious.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you guys still haven't watched Krampus?
I still haven't watched Krampus.
Oh, dude, you have to. Yeah, there's like little living gummy bears that eat people.
Oh, God.
And I'm not talking like little gummy bears. I'm talking like gummy bears.
Oh, like the giant ones?
Yeah. Dude, Krampus is fucking amazing. You need to watch Krampus.
No.
Yeah. You should watch it with your daughter, too.
No.
Teach her to be good around Christmas time. And to believe in Christmas, because if you don't, then Krampus comes and get you. And then it goes on. It says, in the right amount of true horror, see the bus story and Trick or Treat to balance what could be a schlocky gamble, but most likely be a cult favorite. I just, honestly, that sounds like a fun one, too. I want to see where that's at, because that would be a fun one to read. Because I love those kind of stories where you like people don't realize that they're like, in for trouble. Like that kind of like, whatever. I just feel like there's a lot of like urban legends and stuff that way too. And I always love those. Those are always just fun ones because it's always creepy as like the town is like side-eyeing the people and stuff and watching them and talking about them.
Yeah.
I just think that kind of horror is always fun because it's so unsettling.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I think we've all been in that situation where like, you're the outsider and you're being looked at a certain way. So then to take that and then make it like horrifying in some way, like just.
There's an episode of Supernatural that does that. It's really early on in this show where it's because it's two brothers. They're going through this town and it's like they're investigating because there's disappearances every so many years at the same time of year, like the second week of October. Every 5 years, there's every single time, and it's like, well, that's interesting. And then like it's always a couple. It's not like a family or an old couple. It's always a young couple in their 20s, and so it's just like literally. One of the characters is in the diner, and there's a couple who are outsiders, and you can just see how the townspeople are looking at that couple, and he's just kind of noticing it. Like, he's on the outside noticing it, but they don't see it.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, oh, it's a friendly town, but they're almost like drooling looking at this couple because they're the offering in this episode.
So what it really comes down to, in a nutshell, is the librarian in It.
Yeah. Just sitting there staring at Ben.
That's still, I think, might be one of the creepiest things in that whole two movies.
It never focuses on her.
It doesn't.
You just see it and you're just like.
That's what makes it so good to me, though, because I feel like it would have ruined it if they would have just like pulled focus so you're actually focused on her and not him, because then it draws attention to her and then it becomes like infinitely less scary. But the fact that it's just there in the background is like, that's what makes it so good. Like, I love it. And then she finishes off here, says there's so many King works that could be mined for the screen, and the honorable mentions list is too long to recount here. But to be completely honest, I haven't read all of King's short stories, so there may be a couple more suited for adaptations than those listed here. So, constant readers, what are some of King's works you'd be dying to see light up the screen? So, what about you? Now that you've read some of the short stories, is there any that she didn't cover here that, like? For instance, from Skeleton Crew or whatever.
I actually had one pegged from Skeleton Crew that I wanted to see as a film, and it is on her list. It's The Man in the Black Suit.
Okay.
I really that one was bad, dude. Like his insides being fire and eating the fish, and the scales like cooking as he puts the fish into his gullet and everything. Just like his dad coming back and getting like the uneasy feeling, seeing the dead grass and everything. Just, dude, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. I'll say The Monkey. I would love to see The Monkey as a movie. Symbol Monkey.
Oh God, no!
Like haunting the family and like killing him every time the symbol. Dude, because it's one of those things. Like, if you can do something that's like auditory, I just feel like that adds a whole different level of horror to it.
Because you can hear it, and it's just
because you know what it means. Like, the audience will then associate that. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example of that. Like, I mean,
there's like
Freddy, the jump rope,
Marley's ghost,
the jump rope girls from Freddy Krueger. Like, if you start hearing that in the background, you instantly know that they're in the dream now, and they're in serious trouble. So that's a good one.
Marley's ghost in Christmas Carol. Just hearing the as the chains are dragged across the floor. Just that sound is terrifying, you know? Like,
yeah.
There's
A lot of it, some of it comes down to music, like Jason's like
Yeah.
theme and stuff. But I just think that like those kind of things are great. And I think that the monkey would work great because like the audience would, after you set up the one scene to show it, once those cymbals clang the rest of the movie, the audience is going to be fucking flipping out. So it'd be genius.
Predator, his little growl
Yeah.
that he does.
Yeah.
You hear that, and you're just like, oh fuck, he's here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, indeed. So I just love that kind of stuff. So I think the monkey would be a good one. But I am a little bit less fresh on the short stories than you are. But yeah, that is a good list. But yeah, we're gonna definitely do that. Our challenge of up to 10 to create a Stephen King season for streaming based on short stories. So.
Okay. Hour-long episodes.
Yeah, which I think is good because some of the short stories, it may be hard to stretch into like a 2-hour movie or an hour and a half movie. But I think if you go down to like it's a 40 minute to 60 minute thing, it becomes so much easier to capture that. So I mean, of course, some could be stretched out longer, but other ones you don't have to. But yeah,
Mike puts in the chat.
yeah, indeed. I mean, and music does it more often than not, right? Psycho does this. I mean,
Halloween.
It's usually music, but sometimes if you can capture it in the world, I think it makes it more scary. Because of course, we as the audience, like we like the music, we hear it, so we react to it. Like people get tense just because the music's like ramping up, right? But like if it's in the story, I just think there's a different kind of
is.
Because then the people can react to it too, right? Like that somebody can jump when it happens, like
the puppet laughing in Saw.
Yeah,
that evil like mechanical laugh that it has when the little thing rolls out on the tricycle and everything, like that one.
Yeah,
you know that is
The Ring.
The
video, the sound of the video in The Ring. The cackling in the distance in Blair Witch Project. Just got chills just thinking about it.
God, I hate that. Oh, dude. Okay, we're done with. Are we done with the short stories?
Yes.
Okay, real fast. You're an asshole.
Why?
You knew I was going down to my in-laws this last weekend for Easter. You knew that it was a full moon because I brought it up to you. And you just had to mention werewolves. You had to put it in my head, right?
I mean, why not?
Son of a bitch. I had to sleep out in their RV. So walking to and from their house in the morning or at night. And it's a rural, very, very small town. Like less than like 2,000 people. Like open country, like less than a mile away from us. And
so you're basically saying werewolf country.
It's werewolf country, full on. It's where I got the idea for that story that I told you about of people being stranded, trapped in a rolled over car by a werewolf.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, I hate you. Dude, I hate you so much. I got out of the RV one time. It was daytime. Even though it was daytime, I got out of the RV and there's bunnies, rabbits that live in their neighborhood. Freaking rabbit went tearing across their yard. I startled it, and dude, I almost screamed like a little girl. I jumped and dropped everything I was carrying. I hate you
that
much.
Makes me happy. I'm glad I have that effect on you. Robert mentions, yes, John Carpenter is doing the music for the Firestarter movie. We did cover that.
Yes.
So very excited for that. That's coming up very quickly. We're almost to May.
It's next month. It's like a couple weeks away.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact date, but we could probably start talking about it more in weeks/days than months because it's coming up very quickly. So, and we have already talked about it. We're doing the movie theater on that. Mike mentions the Static and Poltergeist. That is another good one.
Oh yes,
the staticky TV. That's a good. Yeah. There's a lot of them like that, but it's better when the person in the movie can react to it. Hide and clap. In Conjuring,
oh God, yes.
You know, it's just one of those like creepy ass things. It's just like whatever. You need to watch Hereditary because there's another example in there.
Is there?
Yes.
May 13th for Firestarter.
Yeah, so we're getting there, man. That's not that many days away.
Oh, Robert, I went right past hashtag Tad is terrible because that's one that Tad does on purpose to get like in my head.
I discovered it by accident, though.
You did.
I just gave you Creepshow because George Romero and Stephen King. Like, there's no better merging of horror royalty than those two. And then little did I know that you had such an aversion to beasts and monkeys.
Beasts and apes. So.
Oh, we're gonna have to do a commentary on Patreon for Creepshow at some point. That'd be real fun.
Nope. Once is enough for me watching that goddamn monkey.
Oh, so next up,
I showed a picture of that monkey to my coworker. I was talking to her, our coworker, I should say. I was talking to her about my fear of monkeys. She's like, "Well, really, like monkeys?" And I'm like, "No, not monkeys."
not Ace Ventura's monkey.
Yeah, like baboons.
Although
and
if you watch
stuff.
Outbreak, you should be scared of Ace Ventura's monkey.
That's true. Same monkey.
Yeah, exactly.
It literally is the same monkey.
Yeah.
But and then I showed her a picture of that thing where it's like it's got the like the shot of its face with like the red.
Yeah.
And it's got like the fangs all hidden. No.
I love the spirit of it.
No.
Okay. So next up, we actually already covered this news, and it's the Welcome to Derry show. But I wanted to cover this because I found this interesting. This is from Emily Burnham from the Bangor Daily News.
Oh, God, it's Paul Bunyan.
So I thought it was interesting just because it's actually a perspective of this show from the perspective of Bangor locals. So this is from April 11th, 2022, and it's Stephen King's fictional version of Bangor may get its own TV show. And yes, there was no picture on the article, so I grabbed a picture myself. And this is the real Paul Bunyan statue in Bangor.
It's going to get me.
Did you not know that was a real
No, I
thing?
didn't know that was a real thing. I thought that was made up for it.
No.
Oh, God.
That is the real Paul Bunyan statue in Bangor.
No. I don't
And,
like it.
and I had to grab one from that angle because there's so many that are from the front, and you can't tell what's on his shoulder that it's an axe.
Yeah.
Because when you're looking at it from the front, it could be a bat, it could be God knows what.
Yeah.
You know. So I had to find one from this angle, and it took me a long time to find it because everyone likes to take it from a different angle.
Yeah.
But I found this one. 'Cause Mike, you got to be able to see that axe on his shoulder. So.
yeah. Mike says, "Oh wow, look at the grin on that guy. It wants to kill everyone." Exactly.
Yes.
I'm going to eat you up.
Yep, it is real. So I just thought this would be interesting to look at because I love these kind of like stories from the local perspective. And locals of Bangor, that's just a double whammy.
Yeah, they've lived in King Country for...
They live in Derry, for God's sake. Let's be honest. It says the series with the working title Welcome to Derry will reportedly tell the origin story of Pennywise, the immortal monster at the center of King's iconic 1986 book. Derry is King's fictional version of Bangor, his full-time home during the 1980s and 1990s, with many locations in the book based directly on real-life places in the city.
Yeah.
And then it says neither the film of it nor its 2019 sequel was filmed in Bangor, aside from some establishing shots that were sprinkled through the movie. Rather, Derry is recreated in the Canadian town of Port Hope, Ontario, photos of which can be seen on the Instagram account Discovering Derry, which documented the filming around town. So I will link that in the show notes as well.
Ooh. So
everyone can go over to the Instagram there and take a look at that. Port Hope, which was the actual stand-in for Derry in the two movies. And it says many.
Oh, Canada, you do so good at recreating our cities.
It says many real-life Bangor landmarks, like the Bangor Public Library, the Paul Bunyan statue, and the Kundusky Stream, were created for the movie in Port Hope. Though the new Welcome to Derry series has not yet been greenlit for production, we can only hope that the real-life Derry might make more than a cursory appearance in the new show if it makes it to air. Which I agree. Let's film it in fucking Bangor, for God's sake.
There you go.
So, yeah, I just found this kind of things fascinating because it's just small town news is just its own little thing, and there's just nothing can grab it the same way. And just it's like imagine living in Derry and like how much different you would see like the It movies and stuff. I don't know. So
no, thank you.
Now, speaking of Pennywise,
we're
gonna have to make a trip.
Are we?
We are. There is going to be this is called exclusive It-themed escape room to open in Las Vegas this fall.
Oh my God.
Dude, I swear to God, didn't we just talk about this very recently where I think I was talking about The Shining though, that why isn't there like an overlook escape room?
I don't remember talking about that. I remember talking about like a Stephen King theme park. Like
we talked about that, but I swear to God, I brought it up recently where I talked about like The Shining. Imagine an escape room.
You very well might have.
And I mean, this is obviously not The Shining, but next best thing. So this is by Marco Vito Odo from Collider on April 12th, 2022. It says, put on your yellow raincoats and get ready to chase some red balloons. And of course, your wife will have to join us too.
I'm texting her right now to turn on the show.
Oh man. So put on and chase some red balloons because Collider can exclusively announce that Pennywise is coming to Escape It, a new escape room experience in Las Vegas inspired by the It franchise. With 2 multi-room adventures available for fans, the unique escape room experience will transport fans to Derry as they try to survive the fatal encounter with a murderous clown.
Dude, if we have to do a road trip, I'm so on that.
Oh, I mean, dude, we have to.
We have to.
We have to. I mean, there's really no choice. Spanning more than 30,000 square feet, Escape It will feature more than 20 interactive rooms that fans will search for clues that will help them fight off Pennywise the Dancing Clown. The interactive rooms are inspired by some of the iconic locations from Andy Muschietti's adaptation of Stephen King's original novel, released in 2 films in 2017 and 2019. So fans can get ready to visit the Losers Clubhouse, the haunted Niebolt Street house, and of course the sewers below Derry. So that sounds fun.
No.
Niebolt Street? That'd be fun.
Niebolt Street is dude, that is like the worst location in the entire book. I don't care about the sewers. Niebolt Street is the worst.
Yeah.
It has, no.
And then it says, unfortunately, there are no details of how the 2 circuits offered by Escape It will be organized. However, considering the film's plot, it's likely that one escape room experience follows the children's steps while the other mimics the adults' return to Derry. Escape It is being developed by Warner Brothers together with escape room experts Egan Escape Productions. The experience will count on state-of-the-art special effects, lighting, and animatronics. That's fun.
Oh boy.
And live actors to create the scariest escape room experience ever conceived. Peter Van Roden, Senior Vice President of Warner Brothers Themed Entertainment, said, quote, it's one of our most iconic horror film franchises, and we cannot wait for fans to be able to come face-to-face with the infamous Pennywise the Clown of Derry in a way that they've never experienced before. We're thrilled to work with Egan Escape Productions, as they are experts in this space, bringing complexity and attention to every detail to help bring our immersive horror experience to the next level. Jason Egan, from the owner of Egan Escape Productions, added, having the opportunity to work with one of the most iconic and terrifying characters of all time has been a phenomenal venture. It's an honor to have Warner Brothers Theme Entertainment trust us with their brand and to bring this beloved franchise to life here in the amazing city of Las Vegas. And then the last little bit here says, Escape It will premiere in Las Vegas 5 minutes away from the Strip. Besides offering a unique escape room experience, Escape It will also feature an It-themed store offering exclusive merchandise, photo ops, and even carnival-style Midway games.
Oh, Jesus.
So that again, just great.
So I went to the website escapeit.com. Coming this fall, sign up for updates and announcements. So should I just go ahead and just put our...
I may have already done that.
You've already did. So I text my wife and she says no. We're not going to Vegas. I said, so Vegas is the issue. So if it was someone else, would be okay. She says, no, Vegas is an issue. It is the issue. So, unfortunately, Ted, she's out. So that's a no for her, bro.
Yeah, we'll have to just maybe just trick her and just say, oh, we're just going to Vegas for just have fun.
Yes,
time in the sun,
I shouldn't
swimming
have
pools.
said anything then.
To find more information about tickets, ticket sales, and get a better look at the interactive experience, check out Escape It's official website, which I'll also link in the show notes. So yeah, coming in the fall, and I do believe it behooves us as Stephen King podcasters to make the trip to Vegas.
So Mike says, F that. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas sounds too much like King tagline. That's my wife in the chat. That's Autograph Sky. That's my wife right there, folks. But that's the first time she's ever chatted on my show. Robert then says, wow, someone has to grab the note sailboat next to the sewer grate. Yeah.
Oh, dude, if there was
if that was, my wife would have to be the one to grab it. She knows about that. She knows about the boat and the sewer grate. So I think this should happen. I think the 3 of us should go.
The thing I find interesting is that we did talk about, it did mention that it's based on the Muschietti ones. That kind of brings back to the conversation, man. Early before the 2017 movie came out, we talked about how can you ever outshine to Tim Curry.
Yeah.
I think he kind of has. If they're building this whole thing around the Muschietti, thing, like, is Skarsgård the definitive Pennywise nowadays?
I mean, he's been memed. That's like putting him
the waving
into
hand,
the waving hand one, the little GIF of that. That's like officially like putting you
and
in
that
like the
dance.
pop culture. Yeah,
yeah. But yes, we have to go. There's no.
We're doing it?
We have to.
We're doing
I mean,
it?
we missed The Shining in Colorado.
We're not letting another one slip by us. Ted.
Yeah,
We're going.
no, we got it. We definitely got to go. And I mean, Vegas, it's a fun town. There's a lot of fun stuff. The Bob Museum. Yeah. There's gambling. There's swimming pools. There's alcohol by the yard. You can buy a yard of alcohol. Like, That's
Wait,
just a
what?
That's just a beautiful
A
thing.
yard of alcohol?
Yeah, they have like a cup that's a
Dude,
yard.
I've been
and
to
it's-
Vegas exactly one time as an
you
adult.
got to
so-
come with me to Vegas.
Oh boy.
I was raised in Vegas in a lot of ways, going to vacations there and stuff. So I could show you that town in a great way.
I don't know if I want to go to Vegas with you. I don't trust it.
You won't remember much.
I'm gonna come around a corner and someone's just gonna go, Peter Steele, and I'm gonna be like, oh my god, it's Randall Flagg. You're gonna have someone dressed up in the denim waiting for me. And the thing is, you could find someone in Vegas to do that. You could.
There may already be somebody there. It may already be a street performer dressed as Randall Flagg. Yeah, so I think that I do think that we would have to make this a priority here. So yeah, opening in the fall, an It escape room. I'm down, man.
I'm in.
And I bet you Hayden can get.
Oh my gosh, Hayden! Oh, that would be so good. If we can't get Lydia to go, we have to get Hayden to go.
Because Hayden, he's a chicken shit, man. He's and he wouldn't mind me saying so because he knows it. No, I haven't. I mean, yeah. So that, yeah, we definitely got to make that a thing.
Oh, I wish that we could Skype him right now and just be like, dude, so seriously, like, there's an themed escape room in Vegas opening this fall. Like, you in? Just to hear him just go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm washing my hair that weekend.
And his hair is about the same as mine.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, he's like bald, like Tad. So like, yeah, absolutely, it's hilarious. He does that. Ted always brings up like horror movies when we're hanging out, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm washing my hair that weekend."
So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun, and we will have to go, and we will report back how that goes, because that sounds like we with as many rooms as they've got, it's 30,000 square feet of different things. I have a feeling you could spend pretty much all day there. I think
All day.
easy.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully it's actually like Vegas and it's open all the time, including in the middle of the night, because that'd be fun too to go there in the witching hour.
No, please let's go at like 2:00 in the afternoon, and then have daylight so that we're not like walking out into the dark. I know it's Vegas and it's it's always alive and going, but still I'd prefer not to go outside in the dark.
There's no darkness, not in Vegas.
I know, but
It's brighter at night than it is during the day.
oh, is it?
Oh, dude, it's yeah.
See, this is how little I know about Vegas.
I mean, dude, they have like the Hoover Dam, like like that pretty much has to power this town because of how many lights there are. Yeah, it's brighter at night than it is during the day. Trust me. But yes,
Pennywise needs water, not darkness.
So yeah, we're gonna have to figure. Well, as we get closer to fall and we figure out what date this is, we're gonna have to figure out when we have to make a trip, because a trip we will have to make indeed. Yeah, a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. Can't wait to see Mr. Pennywise in person. Now, do you think Pennywise is going to be an animatronic, or do you think that
No,
he's
it's
going to be
actor.
an actor?
It's absolutely going to be an actor.
Well, depends on which version of Pennywise you're
Well,
seeing.
it also
too.
just depends on the room. We might get one room
Because if you're in
where
the sewer, you could actually
get like an animatronic like spider. But if you're in one of the other Nebel Street, you very well could get an actor in a costume.
yeah.
And I can tell you right now, there's a knack for places like this to find people who are scary as hell.
Is this a new thing? Because like I know escape rooms have been around for a long time, but to almost merge them with haunted houses, is that been done before? Like this feels.
Sorry, I thought you were going to ask if it's new. No, it's been done.
This feels like something that's a whole lot different. Even the way that some of the things they were said here, it just seems like they're going to, which I'm all for, man.
It's a name brand though. This isn't just like like Escape from the Evil Scientist's Lair, horror themed. It's actual like trademark. This is dude, this is a horror icon here.
Oh yeah, my schedule now won't be back for 27 years.
that's clever. I get that.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a horror icon here. I mean, it's right up there with Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. Pennywise the Clown, dude.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like he's up there.
So yeah, we will go.
We're going.
Yes, indeed, going to the land of Randy.
No, I don't like it.
I didn't even think about it until you mentioned that. But you're right. We would.
I don't like that.
You and I, maybe we'll have to walk to Vegas too.
No, it's not as far as walking from Boulder. We're already in Utah, but
Yeah, we already take a leg of the journey off. But
no, but they come down I-70, so that's
Except in
like
the
3
except
hours
in the
that
original
way.
miniseries, they were on the 201 to I-80 interchange around the mountain.
Yeah,
there.
they went right there around
they filmed
by
right
the
there.
Great Salt Lake. Yeah.
So okay, so
I remember that. I remember that in the original one. I'm like, holy shit! I've driven on that road.
Yeah, although I'm sure it looks way different now. I thought about that last time I was driving it. I'm like, they've done so much construction on it and stuff now. I don't even know if it'd be recognizable.
I
So.
recognized it.
I mean, now though, like if
no,
you
now,
watch,
yeah, like if my wife, who's only lived up here for 10 years,
yeah,
if she went in and drove it a couple times, she'd be like, yeah, that doesn't look right.
yeah, it doesn't look the same. All right, well, next up, Pennywise versus Randall Flagg. The Stand's Alexander Skarsgård weighs in on the Stephen King debate. So this is a lot of fun. So this is Eric Eisenberg from Cinema Blend on April 13th, 2022. I should have warned everyone up front. There's a lot of Pennywise in this episode. He gets covered quite a bit here in different ways.
Excellent.
So it says, starting off here, it says, while movie and television history is filled with terrific on-screen representations of Stephen King's greatest villains, the Skarsgård family is notably responsible for two of them. And I'd have to admit, I'd have to venture to say two of the more iconic ones too.
Oh, yeah.
Like Flagg and Pennywise. That's kind of top echelon of King. So, well. Even in the book, I guess in the books, because I would say like Annie Wilkes is up there too, but I think Annie Wilkes is 100% primarily because of Kathy Bates.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I think Kathy Bates took what King wrote and took it to fucking 11.
Yeah.
Like she made that as iconic as it is. Like
Oh, yeah.
more so than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas I think Pennywise and Randall Flagg were already like infinitely iconic before they ever saw the screen. It says in both It and It Chapter 2, Bill Skarsgård stars as the titular villain, best known for taking the form of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, and his older brother, Alexander, plays the sinister Randall Flagg in the 2020 limited series remake of The Stand. And it says, it's a funny circumstance given that constant readers have spent decades debating which of the two characters is a more powerful entity, and it makes you wonder if the siblings have ever had that conversation between themselves. This week, I learned from interviewing Alexander Skarsgård that the specific answer to that pondering is no, that they've never really discussed it. But he does have an opinion that he shares in regards to who he thinks would be the victor if a battle was to ever happen between the two otherworldly antagonists. Alexander Skarsgård is currently doing press for the phenomenal and critically acclaimed Viking revenge thriller The Northman. When I spoke to him on Tuesday, my Stephen King fanhood compelled me to ask about Randall Flagg. He told me that he had not had the Flagg versus Pennywise debate with Bill Skarsgård, but when I pressed him for his thoughts on who would win this he responded, "I don't want to sound cocky, but probably Flagg. I mean, he's kind of the devil in a way. He's pretty powerful."
Yes.
So, yeah, and then it goes on and says, is it a biased opinion? Without question. But what doesn't make it any less of a valid question, but it doesn't make it any less of a valid question, and one that a lot of Stephen King fans will support, with a certain, just like certain comic book arguments that fans will never stop having, the question of whether Randall Flagg is more powerful than Pennywise is one that will likely persist until Stephen King actually writes a book where the two characters square off, and that doesn't appear to be too likely to happen, though, given that King seems to enjoy screwing with fans a bit, as evidenced by the tweet from a couple weeks ago, which we covered on the show, where he tweeted about, are they the same person?
Yeah.
And we covered that. King's like, everyone talks about who's more powerful, but what if they're the same creature? And which is a fun thing to think about. And he says, you can be sure that I will ask Bill Skarsgård the same question if I ever get to interview him.
There we go.
And here's one thing I wanted to point out on the cap of this whole conversation: Bill Skarsgård, Alexander Skarsgård. There's like 7 Skarsgård brothers.
Yeah.
But Papa Skarsgård is a pretty legitimate actor. He's great. We need to get him in the King universe as some kind of iconic villain. And it made me wonder, where would you put him to maybe finish out this like trinity of Skarsgård King villainy?
Dandelo.
I was thinking
Older guy. By himself.
I was thinking Crimson King.
Oh, shit. Like just the insane fucking psychopath.
I could see him doing it, man. I could totally see him doing it.
Yeah. Alan joined us. How, Alan?
Oh, yeah, that was earlier. I think I saw that, but I forgot to say something. Sorry about that, Alan. I think he did, unless I'm freaking losing my mind.
I think you're losing your mind, sir. He just barely popped in.
Oh, okay. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I'm scrolling back. Yeah, I guess I'm crazy. I think the Crimson King would be a good one, because I'm trying to think of what other iconic King villains there are. Especially that he would fit. But he's such a great actor that I think he could embody a lot.
He's already got a creepy as hell bad guy role under his belt, and the girl in the dragon tattoo.
And you haven't watched Dune yet, but he's pretty fucking
Oh,
sinister.
is he
and creepy.
sinister in
Yeah.
that? Oh,
Yeah.
no.
So you need to watch that too at some
Okay.
point. That's a really good
Dude,
movie.
you got to stop adding to my list, man. You've said 7 things I got to watch in this episode alone.
Got to get watching.
Like, oh my god, I got no time.
Yeah,
Where am I going to get the time to watch 7 movies?
I think Crimson King though, in my mind, is
Crimson King is-
Stellan
dude.
Skarsgård.
What's the other Skarsgård? The one that was in the Batman.
Stellan could be Father Callahan, as what Mike says.
Mm-hmm.
The antithesis of his children. I guess that's true. You could always make him a good character, but I don't know. I love the idea of just. But I don't know. Again, we're talking about literally 2 of the most iconic of King's villains, so nobody else comes close. And I just don't know. Anyone that you would never be able to get him in the same realm as his sons here. But yeah, there's like 7 Skarsgård brothers. I don't know all of them. Honestly, outside of Bill and Alexander and Stellan, I'm not really familiar with any of them. But
Yeah.
I think I would love to see him as maybe the Crimson King. I think that'd be a lot of fun. See him play that role.
That one, or I think Dandela would also be good because just like telling jokes and just being like the old guy, just like
Yeah.
being chummy and everything like that with them.
Mike says if he has to be bad, then the leader of the Algociento who kills Eddie. What's his name?
It's the warden.
Yeah, we had him on our most hated list. Let me see if I could even find that. Most hated 2019. Pimley Prentice.
Yeah, Pimley.
That would make him rather. Now, I do think if we wanted to talk like whatever, that would make him hated. Also, if you did make him Mordred, I know he's older, and that would be a little bit weird. But like, that'd be the next most hated.
You could just do a voice and just have it be computer animated, kind of like Golem.
What about him as Blaine?
Oh God. We can't have Tim Curry anymore, but oh my God, Skarsgård.
Well, Mark Hamill's been my choice of the last
Mark
number
Hamill.
of years.
Oh my God, Mark. Yeah, that's
Ooh,
right.
Here's another thought for you. What about Calvin Tower? Stellan as Calvin Tower? He could do it.
He could.
And now he wouldn't be maybe the same heavyweight as his sons here, but you would hate him so much because he would embody that role perfectly.
Dude, are we just going to do a perfect role for all the Skarsgård brothers? Because
No, I don't know any of the others. There's like 7 of them.
There was one in the Batman. He's the district attorney.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's Peter Skarsgård.
Jesus Christ.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I can't keep them all straight.
No.
Dude. There's I think there is
Not
7 brothers.
Skarsgård. It's close. It's Sarsgaard.
Oh, okay, so it's not. Okay.
Sarsgaard.
Alan says I'd like him as Aaron Deep now, which is definitely more of a good character.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make him Calvin Tower just for your benefit.
Just to see Eddie put him down.
And then Alan says
Pimley's a good one.
Calvin should be a small, wimpy guy. Aaron Deep is a big guy. Yeah, I don't know. I just had to think of it because again, with both these, both of his sons here playing such iconic characters,
Yeah.
I do think we need to get Stellan in the King universe
There we
somehow. Too bad Firestarter already is.
Well,
a
let's
thing,
just
'cause-
make no. Oh my God, dude, the man in the black suit. Have that be him.
Okay, yeah,
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Literally playing the devil,
yeah. Which
trying to eat a boy. No, exactly.
that would
Like,
work.
that's-
That would work well with his 2 sons here.
There you go. That's how you do it. There's your main actor. No, you just got to get a boy that can be terrified and then cast the dad and the mom.
We can always get the baseball boy.
Oh. Too soon, dude. That's a genuine hashtag Tad is terrible. Why?
Oh man, because he's great. I mean, I don't know how old he is at this point. He's like, I think in my mind he's still stuck as the same age, but it's been a couple years now, so he's probably getting up there in age in terms of like late teenager or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's fun though. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, and this is an interesting one. What if Robin Williams starred in The Shining instead of Jack Nicholson?
Oh my God.
And this is by Cathil Gunning from Screen Rant on April 17th, 2022. And then it says director Stanley Kubrick, because this is actually, I actually never knew this. Apparently Kubrick actually considered Robin Williams for the role of Jack Torrance instead of Jack Nicholson. prompting people to wonder how different The Shining might have been if if the Stephen King adaptation took this route. However, time has been kind to Kubrick's take on King's Tale, while other King adaptations about haunted hotels like 2007's 1408 remain solely underrated. The Shining was vindicated by reviewers within a few years of its release. By the 90s, The Shining was already considered a classic of horror, and in the decades since, the King adaptation has arguably become the most iconic of Kubrick's movies, which I don't think there's even a question on that. Like, yes, 2001 is great. Yes, Full Metal Jacket is like all of his stuff is good, but I just don't think anything comes close to The Shining in his filmography. Although he did consider other actors, because it does mention that he always wanted Jack Nicholson. That was his first choice for the role. It says, oh yeah, it does say that here. Nicholson was his first choice for the role. However, he also said that he would have considered Harrison Ford. What's your thoughts on some of these? I just want to get your knee-jerk reaction.
It's the peak of Harrison Ford, the 80s. So.
Would have been 1980. I mean, literally the same year as Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And it would have been a couple years before Raiders.
Yeah.
Because Raiders was...
Dude, I don't know if he gets cast as Indiana Jones then. I don't think he would.
Yeah, that's...
I don't think you take a horrifying character like Jack Torrance from Kubrick's and cast him as a beloved,
and that's funny you mentioned that, because we'll get to that in a bit, because this actually talks about what it would do to different careers as well. Next one he mentions that he thought about using was De Niro.
Oh, yeah, De Niro. Dude.
Especially when you think of Cape Fear.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I think De Niro doesn't strike you as crazy from the word go, like Jack Nicholson, so I think that it would have worked out.
Well, neither does Robin Williams.
Yeah, exactly. And then it mentions Williams is the last one that Kubrick had said that may have been alternates if Jack Nicholson turned the role down. And I agree with you. I think Robin Williams never would have appeared crazy to begin with, but he definitely could have. And it says if Nicholson was unavailable for the role, but it says King vetoed all three of these actors, although he also didn't want Nicholson. The novelist reasoned that the audiences knew Nicholson for dark, unhinged roles and would guess the twist, quote unquote, that the overlook and its shadowy history drives Jack to a murderous rage immediately. Which is true, right?
Yeah.
Nobody watched the first scene of The Shining and went, I don't know how this is going to go. Everyone's just like, oh.
That's a crazy person.
That's a crazy person.
That's a crazy person.
It says, then it's going on here, kind of outlining some different aspects to the conversation here. It says, in 1980, Williams was not known for much outside of his TV lighthearted sitcom Mork and Mindy and his incredibly successful stand-up career. His earliest dramatic movie roles were still a few years away in 1982's The World According to Garp and 1986's Saul Bellows adaptation Seize the Day, meaning that The Shining would have been a total reinvention for the then emerging star. The fact that Williams tended to play zany, wackier roles could have made transitioning back into comedy harder after viewers had seen him embody someone murderously unhinged. That said, the part could also have showcased the actor's range earlier. The darker roles of Jack Torrance would have tapped into the mature edge that Williams later displayed in 1 Hour Photo, a performance that proves that he could have nailed a role of a once wholesome family man grown lethally erratic, which, yeah, I mean, we saw that later in his career. What this is saying, though, is if it would have happened earlier, though, because that's what it says here, is the argument could be made that The Shining could have improved Williams' career, allowing him to play serious, darker roles earlier, or the other side of the argument is it could have ruined his career because from the beginning, before it even begun to get a footing in the world of movies, an impressive string of serious roles later in life, like World's Greatest Dad and Insomnia, proved that Williams had the dramatic chops to pull off parts like The Shining's Jack Torrance. However, Williams relied on his sweet paternal persona for hits ranging from Dead Poet Society to Mrs. Doubtfire to Night at the Museum to Good Will Hunting. And the sight of him trudging through the snow trying to kill his child in his first major movie role could have put a kibosh on that fast, which is true. Like, honestly, do you think Robin could have pulled off basically the iconic Robin Williams movies had he played Jack Torrance? You don't get Aladdin, you don't get Mrs. Doubtfire. No, I don't.
How do you cast him as a loving father? It's, going through the divorce and dealing with that in Mrs. Doubtfire. If you have him as Jack Torrance trying to as
his
son.
debut film too, his first film, because
the first taste people got of him.
Because
here's the thing, 1980, right? Mrs. Doubtfire is a 90s movie. Okay, so these are going to be some people who were 10, 12 years old seeing The Shining, taking their kids to a movie. They're going to be like, oh, hell no, I know what he is.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not taking my kids to see that.
Yeah. So it's definitely an interesting, quandary, because the other thing it does mention too, and I didn't actually take the note of it, but I wanted to just recap it, was it basically said that it doesn't know, it could have actually harmed the movie because obviously The Shining is famous for how much of a perfectionist Kubrick was, and how many times he'd have 200 takes on a single thing. And basically the thought was, could it have hurt the movie because it would have made it almost worse because of Robin's improv, basically. But then the alternate to that though is
what if we got something golden?
Well, no, Jack Nicholson's "Here's Johnny" line was not in the script. That was improv.
Exactly.
So it's not.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, what if Robin's improv would have got us something absolutely golden?
Yeah.
Alan says in the chat, he's talking to Mike. He says, "I seem to vaguely remember that Robin did a Jack Nicholson impression in Aladdin. Am I crazy?" No, you are not. He absolutely did a Jack Nicholson impression as the genie in the Cave of Wonders.
Yeah. What else did I miss in the chat here?
Oh, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah,
they would really change the movie. LOL, Mike said. And then what if Jack Nicholson was the genie in Aladdin? So swap the roles there. Oh my God, Jack Nicholson is Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Hello, but Jack Nicholson.
And then Mrs. Doubtfire pulls out an axe and just fucking Scatman Crothers someone.
He comes up with here's Johnny.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see. And then it says losing The Shining would have been far less disastrous for Nicholson's career, because then it talks about like if it had gone the other way, what would it have affected. But it says losing it wouldn't have been disastrous for Nicholson's career, already well established thanks to movies like Five Easy Pieces and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Nicholson was a well-loved star when he took The Shining. The Kubrick movie's imperfect reception didn't hurt his career upon release in 1980, so there's little reason to think that missing out on the Stephen King adaptation altogether would have sunk Nicholson's blockbuster fortunes. While Robin Williams playing The Shining's Jack Torrance could have potentially tanked Stanley Kubrick's Stephen King adaptation, it's unlikely that losing out on the project could have ever hurt Jack Nicholson's star power. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation because, I don't think that even if you're talking like all-time dream casting, I don't know that I ever would have come up with Robin for the role. But honestly, once I hear it, though, I'm like, I actually think that would be...
Well, he's also been that creepy...
1 hour photo.
1 hour photo is the one that really comes to my mind. But also there's an episode of Law & Order SVU where he is a creep in there, and he's smart and diabolical and stuff like that, and defends himself in court as a lawyer.
Yeah.
In the episode, I don't remember the plot of the episode. I just remember him being really smart and twisted and stuff like. And I think he actually gets away with the crime, because that happens sometimes in the Law and Order shows.
Yeah.
Is that sometimes they get away, and I think he did, if I remember right. And it's just he absolutely can pull it off. I've never seen 1 hour photo, but from the people that I've heard and the stuff that I've read online, it's rather disturbing to see Robin play someone like that.
Yeah.
And Alan says Jack being a crazy guy is back to Cuckoo's Nest, and Postman only ring twice. Jack being a not crazy is odd. That's half the reason. As good as it gets is a weird as a romantic lead.
Yeah. I don't know.
I remember seeing that movie, As Weird as It Gets, being advertised, and I'm like,
As Good as It Gets. Yeah.
As Good as It Gets. Yeah. When that was advertised, I'm like, I don't trust that guy. He's gonna murder her. And then I found out that it was an actual genuine rom-com, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why would you cast him?
Yeah.
There's had to have been someone better than Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, it would be fun just to flip these two and everything post Shining, though. Imagine Jack in Mrs. Doubtfire, Jack in Dead Poet Society, some of the more
Flubber.
serious. Flubber. You just see him chasing kids with axes as they got Flubber, just.
The little Flubber has a little Flubber axe is running with him.
Jumanji.
Oh God. He'd play really good, traumatized wild man. I don't think he would have shaved and cleaned up. He would have just stayed wild.
And he would that. There's that one shot when he has the black sweater and he's just looking all crazy eyed out the window in The Shining. He would have just had that look the whole time in Jumanji,
just staring out the window of the mansion.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. Just a very interesting thing to talk about.
Hook.
Anger management.
Jack and Hook. He just slaughters the pirates.
Yeah.
He gets an axe and just goes around and slaughters all of Captain Hook's
The boo
guys.
box would have been much more terrifying with
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson instead of Dustin Hoffman.
No,
there.
they'd put Jack in the boo box and it'd open back up and he'd be like, "That's all you got."
And then anger management. Another
with Robin Williams, that actually might have been really, really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, anger management was good with Jack.
Now here comes the big one. What about Joker? Robin Williams is Joker
Oh my god!
in '89.
Robin Williams would kill it as Joker.
He would have done pretty.
He
damn
would have.
good.
He
Because
would have been.
he was actually
phenomenal.
linked to those early movies because he was teased for the part of Riddler. Like they to try to get Jim Carrey because Jim Carrey was apprehensive about it.
Yeah.
So they openly offered it to Robin Williams, and he ended up getting really butthurt down the road when it turned out that it was all kind of a fake offer and they never were.
to get Jim.
Yeah. And so, but it's always been one of those what ifs of what if he had been the Riddler, but it's like, what if, even better, what if Robin was Joker in that
Yeah.
first movie, '89 Batman? So I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know if you could take Robin seriously as gangster. Definitely could see him as Joker though.
Yeah, definitely. And then Mars Attacks would have been fine. Yeah, that's true.
I got
All right, so next up, actually, very related. This is just totally by date. Jax's axe hitting the auction block
Oh Jesus!
could fetch $100,000.
Yeah.
And this is from I don't know who because they don't credit them apparently at TMZ. There's no credited writer, but it's from TMZ on April 18th, 2022. It says there's a famous piece of horror movie history going up for sale, the axe from Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece The Shining, but you're gonna have to have some crazy deep pockets. The axe is remembered for the scene toward the end of the film, including one where Jack Nicholson's character uses it to break through a wooden door, leading to his famous line, "Here's Johnny." The Kubrick film, based on Stephen King's novel, also features Nicholson's character Jack Torrance carrying the axe with him in the maze at the end of the film as he trudges through the snow trying to find his son Danny, which, yes, that's also thing we just mentioned, trying to chase and kill the child, thinking of Robin in that role. And don't forget the moment where Jack uses the axe to kill Scatman Crothers' character Dick Halloran, striking him in the chest in the bowels of the haunted hotel. That has got to be one of the worst payoffs
Come
to
all the way from Florida, all the way up that
and
mountain.
spending how many minutes of
Getting-
screen time getting him there.
Yep.
And he just gets
an
killed
axe
immediately.
right in the chest.
It's just so brutal, man. Oh, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just every time I shake my head. Scatman deserved better. The next up says the axe is going up for sale through Gotta Have Rock and Roll Auction House. And we're told the prop is expected to fetch at least $100,000. The auction house says that the axe prop is still in very good condition and is displayed in a shadow box frame along with some photos of it in action in the movie. Bidding begins April 20th. So as of the recording of this episode, which is the 23rd, the auction has been going for 3 days. It's going for another 6 days, I believe. I checked the website and so at the time of this recording, it has had 3 bids and it is currently sitting at $60,000. And the minimum starting bid was $50,000, so it's gone up $10,000 in 3 days. So the estimates of $100,000, I don't know. The actual website's now saying, let me pull it up again because I forgot what it said. I'm wondering if the guesses are going down a little bit because it does say estimate is 60 to 90,000. So maybe it's gone a little bit down from the 100,000 that TMZ was saying, but yeah, I think that would be a cool thing though, to have as a horror fan. I'm sure there's at least some person out there that's got a lot of money that's a horror fan that would love to have that on the wall.
Someone just made a Simpsons reference in the chat.
Yeah, give me that. Give me that. Give me that. Oh, the Shinin. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
Don't you mean The Shining? Want to get sued?
All right. So next up, this one's actually fun. This is actually from a couple years back, but I had found something on the news recently that referred to it, and rather than reading the stupid article about it, I just went back to the actual Reddit post that started this whole thing.
Okay.
And it's a flag fan theory, and this is from user Demon Squid God on the subreddit Fan Theories on May 6th, 2020.
Okay.
And so this is a flag theory, and I know at first you're gonna react.
Go ahead.
He says, I think Mrs. Carmody is a thrall of Randall Flagg. So a slave, a holder, someone beholden to Flagg or even Flagg himself.
I could see it.
He says, I thought it was strange that for a religious fanatic, she never says the word Jesus. And I had to stop in my tracks.
God.
Does she never actually say Jesus in that movie?
She says God.
Okay, that's strange. It says she has a seemingly unnatural ability to know the future. In the book, she knows that the mist is dangerous before there's any evidence. And it goes on and says, we know from the stand that Flagg comes to worlds in times of chaos and reaches out to people in their minds. It would make sense that he would come to this world following the opening to that portal. And he says, I think this explains both the her future predictions and her uncanny ability to manipulate and control people, as well as her increasing cruelty. As well as, isn't that one of the biggest, not really plot holes, but one of those things that bother you is why does that creature not attack her?
Yeah.
When it comes in and gets on her, then it moves away. It doesn't sting her. Because I remember you being all mad about that. 'Cause you're
Kill
just
her!
Like, yeah, kill her. Like, and she wasn't even like full on Carmody yet, but still you wanted her dead. So it would answer that question. It says in the movie she uses the phrase "my life for you," which is also spoken by the trash can man in the stand. The Man in Black also urges Andrew to say this phrase in the Dark Tower book, The Wastelands. So yeah, there's that.
What about Sylvia Pittston?
I was about to say, and I wanted to point out, he doesn't even bring it up in his thing, but yes, Sylvia Pittston.
That's a religious leader.
And that whips everyone up into a frenzy, which is exactly what Mrs. Carmody
goes on
does.
a killing spree.
And Sylvia Pittston encounters Randall Flagg. So, I don't know. I actually really like this fan theory. I
like it a lot because it associates two of the most evil things ever in King's universe.
Hey, you watch yourself.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you and your slander here.
It's not slander, sir. They're evil.
And I had to get this glorious picture of Mr. Flagg here. I should have actually got a GIF of him dancing and put it on the slide for this.
You should have.
Oh, and then let's see in the chat here. Mike says, "I love that Flagg and the comedian from The Watchmen have the same pin." No, doesn't the comedian isn't his have a bullet hole? The smiley face.
Oh, is that the one that has the bullet hole? I always think it's Flagg.
Yeah, no, I think it's the guy from Watchmen. Alan says Mrs. Carmody is a ripe, horrible person. It's all the ability to separate the evil of mankind versus the evil in Stephen King's universe. She's terrible either way. I don't know. I love this fan theory. At first, I saw a Flagg fan theory, and I clicked on it. And when the first sentence, Mrs. Carmody, I'm like, oh come on. But then as I read, I'm like, oh my god. Then again, I thought of Sylvia Pittston, and I'm like, dude, that actually mimics.
Yeah.
Sylvia Pittston and Mrs. Carmody. Those are very similar.
That's very similar, especially if you include. All right. Well, what if there's a chance that Mrs. Carmody had someone stop by and had been staying with her, and his name happened to be Randall or Richard?
Or what if he comes to her in the bathroom in some kind of vision when she's praying?
Oh yeah.
Could be that. Also, Cody points out there's a Dark Tower poster in the mist, right?
Sure.
And there is. So there is some connection there. So, Alan says blood drop on Flagg, bullet hole in the Watchmen.
Blood drop is external, though. It's not part of the button. It's someone's blood landing on it, isn't it?
I thought so. Because I actually went through and I bought some pins because I got myself a jean jacket a couple years ago. And, of course, the first thing I had to do was get me some Flagg buttons.
Absolutely.
And I was annoyed because I didn't think that they were correct. So I actually went through and, searched in the Kindle version to see every version of the buttons. And, yeah, there's no bullet hole. It's just a smiley face in the book. In the stand. If he shows up other places with that button, I'm not accounting for that. I'm just talking strictly in the stand. I went through and found everything I could. And because the package I bought came with a peace sign one. And I looked through everywhere in the stand. Every time we talk about his buttons, there's never a peace sign. So I actually threw that one away because I'm like,
he threw it away.
That's not book accurate. There's the smiley face, and then there's the pig cop
I love
hat,
bacon.
or that whole thing. So,
Dad, you are a mega fan. LOL. You are not worthy. We are not worthy.
Yeah. So I mean, it's Flagg. We gotta.
He gets a pin set, looks at it, and goes, "Wait a minute, is that in there?"
I did. I
search the source material. You're not in there. Yeah. Check it.
And Al, no, it wasn't fully authentic though. I went with a black one.
Black jean jacket.
Yeah, mine was black, not blue. I'm not. Yeah, blue jean jackets. I don't know. I don't have a mullet, so I can't pull that look off. So. But yeah, no,
Chad, I want to see you with a mullet now.
But I had to throw that out because ultimately, and I'm like, but there was part of me though that wasn't immediately because I was like the peace sign didn't fully strike it, but I had to look into it. But it didn't seem entirely wrong. So I do think there's somewhere that a peace button is
Hearts in Atlantis
evident. I didn't read Hearts in Atlantis at the time.
No,
I hadn't read it, so.
Hearts in Atlantis does make sense because we both just read it, and there is a character with the initials RF involved with very violent things, and Carol has a run-in with him, and
so I wonder if he shows up somewhere else and he has a peace button maybe because I do remember there being one, but I was like in my head I'm like, I've read the Stand enough. I know it pretty well, and I'm just like, God, I know the cop one, and I know the smiley face, But beyond that, I wasn't sure. So I'm like, wait, why am I not remembering a third button? So that's when I went and did. I probably spent about an hour or so digging through the Kindle using search functions and everything. So yeah, because it mentions it like 3 times during the course of the books at different times. So yeah, there is that. So and Alan says I have to explain and show us. Yeah, at some point I'll have to pull it on out and show everyone. I don't remember the buttons are in it now. I think I may have had to pull them out because I was going to wash it. I don't remember. But I mean, I still have the button somewhere. But yes, I'll have to show it off at some point for sure. All right, so next up, moving over to odds and ends. So this first one is interesting, and it's Thomas Jane tweeted from April 10th, 2022. And he says, spending our Sunday in the garage, still tinkering under the hood. Stay tuned, guys. Peace and happy weekend. And then he says, draft promo art for by our own
Jeff.
Jeff.
Jeff. It's a different spelling for Jeff.
Stupid. Name spelling face. And then he has hashtag from a Buick 8, hashtag Stephen King, hashtag Thomas Jane, hashtag Courtney Lauren Penn, hashtag Jeff Woodman, hashtag we are Renegade. So makes me kind of think
Thomas Jane and From a Buick 8?
Yeah, because we knew that he was.
I forgot about that
because he was going to star in it, but he's also like one of the main people behind it for producing and stuff. But then everything, there was some stuff happened. They kind of got the idea that it was being backburnered. But with this tweet, it makes me wonder if maybe it's moved from the back burner back to the front. So From a Buick 8 might be coming up at some point. So
interesting. All right.
Robert says I wear my jean jacket, but never with jean pants. I need a button. So you don't do the what do they call it? Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, the Canadian tuxedo.
Look on. I think it's Etsy is where I ended up finding it. There's a number of places that have Etsy stores that sell. If you just search like Randall Flag buttons, you'll find them. So that's definitely awesome. All right. So then the next thing I've got here is actually no, I don't have a slide for it, so let me just cover it first and then we'll move on to the other. So there's a thing, shortlist.com has the quote 40 coolest characters in literature, and it's one of those sites that anyone can upvote or downvote each one, and then it moves them up and down the lists. So it's kind of a real time morphing list type thing. You've seen those, haven't you? So I found it interesting, but why did it come up on my list, you may wonder?
Who's on there?
So Roland Deschain is on
the
list for 40 coolest characters in literature. Not only is he on the list, he is at the top of the list.
Is he really?
He is number 1, Roland Deschain. And it says a gunslinging renegade is obviously going to be irredeemably cool. And so it is with Roland Deschain, arguably Stephen King's greatest creation. Deschain is cut from a rugged rock that gives forth strong silent type. A disciplined, no-nonsense anti-hero, he has suffered great injustices and miseries in his life, thus making his principled and dignified dedication to his quest even more admirable. And just to give context, I'm not going to read through all 40, but I'm going to give you just a sense of what the top 10 looks like that Roland beat out. Number 2 was Sherlock Holmes.
Shit.
Number 3 is Lisbeth Salander from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Okay.
Number 4 is Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. Number 5 is James Bond from Casino Royale. Number 6 is Don Quixote from Don Quixote. Number 7 is Huckleberry Finn from The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Number 8 is Randall Patrick McMurphy from One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Dean Moriarty from On the Road. And then number 10 is The Father from The Road. So those are the top 10, and Roland Deschain is at number 1.
Dang.
So I found that pretty cool. Nice to see. I mean, of course, Flagg should be number 1 in my mind, because I don't think you can get any cooler than Mr. Randy Flagg.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, I don't think so.
Eddie. Oi.
Oh,
Roland beat him. So,
all right. So then we're gonna get to some real horror here in the Uncle Stevie Recommends. Alan, the article, that one is from shortlist.com. I'll have the I actually didn't grab the link to it. I didn't copy the link into my notes like I normally do, but I can pull up in my history. I'll have it in the show notes for that. It came up on mine just because Roland was mentioned and the Dark Tower was mentioned, so it got tagged in my email. So it's called shortlist.com, and it was 40 coolest characters in literature. All right, so next up we're going to go to something that's truly horrible. Stephen King has written the most horrifying thing that he's ever written before, and he did it on Twitter. And Uncle Stevie Recommends. He says, dinner, get a nice salmon fillet at the supermarket, not too big. Put some olive oil and lemon juice on it. Wrap it in a damp paper towel and nuke it in the microwave for 3 minutes or so. Eat it and maybe add a salad. I mean, come on.
You don't microwave fish.
For the love of God.
Man, I am not a culinary masterpiece and everything like that kind of guy. But even I know that. Don't.
I remember one time at a job, somebody had fish and they threw it in the microwave, and it was the most horrid stench just permeating every element of the break room. It was just, yeah. So, again, as I said, the most horrifying thing Stephen King's ever written definitely is this tweet. Far beyond anything. I mean, even if he had written the Mist's ending that was in the movie, still this would be worse. So he obviously got ripped and roasted pretty hard, including like some real like 5-star chefs and stuff, just absolutely like whatever. So then he tweeted it later on and said, "I have one thing to say, people slagging me on my salmon recipe. Don't knock it if you haven't tried it." And then he gives us like a big grinning emoji there.
Man,
so.
I'll tell you, Uncle Stevie, I can't try that.
And I was like, I was like trying to think to myself, where should I put this in the show? And I'm like, Uncle Stevie recommends. We've never had a culinary recommendation before.
I'll tell you right now, if I tried that at home, I'd sleep on the couch.
Or outside.
Or outside with the microwave.
No, you'd sleep in the bed. Your family would be in a hotel.
Yeah,
though.
they'd be like, screw you.
and rightfully so.
Carol joined us. Welcome, Carol. It's all right that you're late.
Yeah, it's all good. Hello, Carol. Yeah, and rightfully so. Your family would be in a hotel, too, if you were to do such a thing. So, yes, that's a lot of fun. Had to cover that. So then we're moving over to the Palaver section.
All right. We found out yesterday during our hangout that we've been a little behind on marking off some books.
Yes.
2 for me, 1 for you have not been marked off. So let's go ahead and get an update from Tad on that first.
Yeah, so I went through and we were on our hangout yesterday for Patreon. I was looking through some things on our extended quartet count.
Yeah.
And I happened to be scrolling down and realized that Firestarter was not checked off for me. So I'm like, oh shit, well I'm behind on that obviously.
Yeah.
And I know in the last little bit you finished 2 books.
3. I just clicked. I finished Hearts in Atlantis as well.
Okay, yeah, we already had that.
Okay,
clicked,
that
I
one was
think.
already clicked. So you remember to click Hearts in Atlantis, but for me, you also forgot to click Revival.
Okay.
And I finished Everything's Eventual literally yesterday.
Okay, so Revival.
Yeah.
Pray tell.
We already talked about it.
Did we?
Yeah. You just forgot to check it off.
Did you? Oh, so you gave your thoughts on it and stuff?
Yeah. I didn't go too far into it because you haven't read it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't remember that. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's jump into Everything's Eventual then.
So Everything's Eventual is good. I think I prefer Skeleton Crew just a little bit more, but there's a couple stories in Everything's Eventual. It hit off with one of the best short stories I've read. Dude, I love Autopsy Room 4.
Yeah, that was
that was such a good one.
Yeah, what was your thoughts on it as you're reading it? Like, did you actually think he was alive?
It was such a roller coaster where I'm like, he's obviously alive. He's
I
alive.
I thought he was. I thought he was dead. It was like a ghost thing.
And then part of me was like, no, he's dead. And
it's
then
his spirit.
I
or
know
whatever.
that there is some lore behind Reapers, where if a Reaper doesn't reap you right before you die, then your soul stays trapped in your body. And I was like, oh, watch, that's what's going to be, is the Reaper's going to show up and be like, I'm so sorry, I got hung up, and here, let me get you out of there. That kind of thing. I went back and forth. It was a tennis match for me. I was just like, I was bouncing around. I'm like,
I don't think
there's no way that he's alive.
Until it became evident that he was alive, I didn't believe. I just thought
Yeah.
it's a ghost, and he was basically witnessing his own autopsy, but he wasn't alive. I never even gave that credit. And then obviously it turned out to be wrong. So
yeah.
that was a good story, though. I really enjoyed that one.
We already talked about the Man in the Black Suit. I think that one was terrifying.
Yeah.
For me, that might have been the scariest one in this short story collection, and that does include The Road Virus Rides North.
And see, I don't even know if that one I mean, we'll get to it. Well, I guess we could just talk about it. The road
Go ahead,
as
go
well.
ahead.
But I'll say I don't think it was necessarily that it was the most terrifying. I just think overall it was, to me, it was just, I loved it. It was compelling. I could see it on screen in my head. Like, I just felt like this would be a fucking brilliant movie. It was the
adaptive nature of it that you're like, I can see this as a Hollywood picture that
Yeah.
really drew you
Absolutely.
in.
And like the whole like the changing of the picture almost is like what's the evil painting of like the guy that's like haunted or whatever. They play on it in Ghostbusters too. Like that,
Oh, yeah,
like that,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that whole thing. It just felt like that too, like where it was just kind of like, since it was adapting and there was just something. The way King wrote it, it was just so terrifying, and I think that'd be hard to maybe capture on screen because you have to capture a terrifying element to the painting. And I just feel to myself like, think of the what's his name in It. There's that painting that he's scared of that comes alive.
Yeah.
In the first movie, like there's things like that. There's things you could do, I think, to make it really just fucking creepy and unsettling.
There is a lot
and
of...
then having the
yeah.
movement of it, like where it's like you realize like, oh shit, like, and I think in the movie you'd really have to like make sure there's like landmarks
Real
that you
good shot of that water tower.
yeah,
like
different
it says in the book.
yeah, exactly, different landmarks and stuff, different things. And as it was mentioned in that article, you know, you may have to expand it a little bit to make the make it like almost make it a road trip movie, except it's a horror road trip movie, and have it to be where there is certain things you see to where when you see it in the painting you realize like that fucking thing is on his tail. And I just feel like to me there was just an element of just like absolute fucking dread, because it's kind of the whole Hitchcock thing, right? If two people are at a table talking about their day and there's a bomb under the table, if the audience knows there's a bomb, that
It's
scene is so
worse.
much more fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm just like, you know, that painting is like, you just know there's something with that. And then so suddenly when you understand that it's following your main character, now doesn't the story also portray that the author tried to destroy that painting too, or the painter?
Yeah.
And then it survived. So it's
Well,
like
you
there's
get that. You don't get the idea that the author did it, but when at the end when the guy who bought it tries to destroy it, it comes back. So it's like, oh, he probably did. The author probably did.
tried to destroy
I think
them
that's
all.
what like he
It's
says
like
it's like internal monologue where he's like, oh, so he did try to destroy it with all the rest of them. He just couldn't.
Yeah, it's kind of like the monkey, right? There's a
Yeah.
few things in the monkey where they throw it in the lake and stuff, but it still comes back. Like there's just something about it, just it's absolutely fucking dread-inducing. And I think so. I guess I can't say it's not scary. I guess for me it was just like it felt very visual and very just terrifying. Like, and I just feel there was just just this impending dread in it that I need to see that done on screen in a good way. So I in terms of like if you're talking like the scariest, I don't know if I'd even call it the scariest, because you're right. The man in the black suit is pretty fucking terrifying. I'm trying to think of which other ones we've gotten here. But yeah, so
I mean,
go ahead.
Autopsy Room 4 is a terrifying
that's pretty frightening.
concept.
Yeah.
To just think about it in that aspect.
Yeah.
As for like scary, I mean, 1408 obviously.
Oh,
Biting
yeah.
the bullet is a bad one. And if you did it right, Lunch at the Gotham Cafe would be a roller coaster ride.
Which one's that again?
That's the divorce, where the maitre d', what's it? Not maitre d'. Is it maitre d'? The person who seats you at the restaurant. Is that right, maitre d'?
Yeah.
Goes freaking nuts and just starts killing people,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
saying
yeah.
that he's bringing in a dog to the restaurant when he didn't.
Yeah.
But
But sorry, I did cut you off on the man in the black suit. Was there any more you wanted
no,
to say on
I
that?
mean just the men in the black suit. The simple idea that it's a child encountering Satan.
Yeah.
You know, that's wanting to eat him up, that's lying to him and messing with him and mocking him and everything like that is just terrifying.
Yeah.
That's what when it was on the list earlier for that article, I was like, yeah, absolutely, it needs to be that.
Yeah.
There's a couple others in there, but none really like overly like scary ones. There was a lot of really good stories in here too.
Yeah.
LT's Theory of Pets, I thought that one was pretty fascinating,
Yeah.
but also in a dark kind of horror way.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
You know, never found her body, never found any human blood
Yeah.
in her car and everything like that.
What did you think of the road virus? I've talked about it a lot
That's
now.
true.
So.
You have. I really did like the road virus. It really did like creep me out and everything like that. And I think it would be a great suspense, you know, kind of horror thing. The problem I have with it is I don't know how you would do a satisfactory ending for me. Like, does he just die? Is that it? The painting gets him? Like, give me your ending. If you were going to make it into a film,
Oh man.
give
I
me
mean,
your ending.
you know me, man.
You'd leave it ambiguous.
No, you know me. I love just dark and like unhappy endings. Like
Mm-hmm.
it not only would it get him, like it would be just a fucking like 5-10 minute orgy of just fucking violence, man. It would just be like an absolute.
Throwing him around the house. Like the guy is throwing him around the house.
It would be
ripping him
Oh
apart.
man, yeah. It would be like uncomfortable, like bad, like in terms
Baseball
of,
Boy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not a kid, but yes, because I think that's the ultimate way to pay it off is like you have this like slow building dreadful thing, and I think there's different ways to go about that. Yeah, you can go ambiguous, you can go very like he dies, but it's done in a way where you don't really see a whole lot. I would go anti that, dude, because I feel like that's the way most people would go.
Yeah,
I would just go over the fucking top. You're gonna see it, and it is going to be absolutely fucking horrifying.
It would be brutal.
Just because it would be super like jarring. Because again, I think you would expect it to go the different way. So for me, I would go the absolute opposite, and I'd go fucking balls to the wall. I'd turn it up to 11, and it would just make it like slasher movie, like horrific. So I don't know. That's me. But who needs happy endings?
Not you. Not you.
Hey, Darabont, he agrees with me. So
That's true.
what else? What else do you got? I know you're saving one, Little Sister's last to the end, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
so what? 1408, because I know you haven't seen that yet.
I've not seen the movie of it.
We need to
really caught me off guard.
Yeah, do you like it?
I liked it, but it really caught me off guard just how short and abrupt it was. You know, it's like, oh, you spent 40 minutes in the room. Wait, what? Like, there's a movie based off of this.
Yeah,
40 minutes in the room.
Dude, we need to watch it, dude. It's
so
yeah, I really like that one. Riding the Bullet, you kind of mentioned a little bit.
I liked Lucky Quarter. So the ones that weren't really like scary ones, like Lucky Quarter, LT's Theory of Pets. There's another one in here.
All That You
too.
Love Will Be Carried Away.
What? Oh, that one.
Yeah,
it's all the way up at the top. That one. The Traveling Salesman. That one's interesting because it's like about suicide, like he's gonna commit suicide.
Yeah,
and then leaving the ending ambiguous, just kind of like, damn it.
Yeah, and the Death of Jack Hamilton, you skipped that one too.
Death of Jack Hamilton is the
Dillinger Gang.
Oh, that one was pretty good. That's one of those King ones that's out of the norm.
Yeah.
You could very easily make that into a movie too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I guess we're ultimately skipping the two main ones, right? So Everything's Eventual or Little Sisters. You could pick your poison of which one you want to talk about first, because both of them are obviously really big for Dark Tower side.
Yeah.
So this is your rodeo, man.
This is my rodeo. You want me to go? I'm going to save Everything's Eventual for last because that one's gonna. I think I'm gonna make some people mad.
Hashtag Peter is terrible. Getting that hashtag ready.
Yep, get it ready. Little Sister Valeria was good. It's not great. I think I just had too much buildup with it. I don't like the. Honestly, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way that the group of slow mutants got the best of Roland Deschain with both hands before he loses fingers.
Yeah.
And they're able to sneak up on him and club him in the back. I mean, come on.
It might be his first encounter with such things. And then when he runs into Jake, now he knows what he's in for with them. So.
Oh, but come on.
He's not Superman.
No, but he's Roland Deschain. I mean, he's damn near close. I'm sorry, but that's one of those ones where it's like he still hears Eddie sneak up on him. Like, he almost snuck up on me. Almost. That kind of thing. This is a man that could feign sleep so well that his body actually goes to sleep, but his mind doesn't.
This is a little bit further in the past,
I know, but not.
Because he actually still has a little bit of his soul left in his heart.
There's not that much time between Sisters of Valyria and the Gunslinger.
There's enough.
There's not enough to account for him getting taken by a freaking slow mutant.
Yeah, I think you've just put too much into Roland, sir.
I'm a little.
I'm a little Here's the thing. He lets freaking lobstrosities get in, for God's sake.
No, see, but that's after the Palaver. All right, that's after cosmic thousands of years and everything like that, being drugged and having spells put on him by that evil Randall Flagg and everything. You cannot fault him for being hungover after that.
No, I think what it comes down to is you might be putting more on him than he really deserves. Like, he's great, and he's a gunslinger, but he's still a human.
He got smacked in the back of the head by a lumbering... Oh, boo. if the Sisters of Eloria had taught the Slow Mutants how to do the trap and everything, fine. But the fact that they did it themselves rubbed me wrong a little bit. The Sisters of Eloria themselves were fantastic. Like, the whole rest of it was fantastic, where it's, oh God, if I take this medallion off, oh, they're vampires. Like, that was really cool. The bugs, we got to call back to the bugs. We see them in book 7.
Yeah.
So, with Oi, I'm like, hey, where's a Billy Bumbler when you need one? I think he even says that in the story and everything.
Yeah.
That one, absolutely. Really, that helped flesh out that a little bit. I felt bad for the brother that he couldn't save and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously what's her name? I forgot her name. The one that comes out with him, she ends up dying, doesn't she?
I believe so.
Yeah.
You read it a lot more recent than I have.
Yeah, and so it's just another heartbreak for Roland. He goes on alone.
Yeah.
Again, picture perfect for Roland. And
Yeah.
everything. But yeah, it was good. I'm knocking the one part of it that really rubbed me wrong. But like the whole walking into town, I got very big flashbacks of Tull, very big flashbacks of like getting ready to cross into Lud and going into the Kalas. Roland's done it so many times with so many different towns and places like that. It's just like, yeah, that's Roland right
Sister
there.
Jenna.
Sister Jenna, yeah. Yeah, Jenna passes away and everything.
Because it says Roland mentions her in book 5. Noted that Susan Delgado, there was only one other woman of note.
Yeah.
So, then it mentions the Dr. Bugs.
The Dr. Bugs are
yeah.
really cool and everything like that.
Yeah.
I really liked that. I liked...
But it's the first Dark Tower you've had since, what, 08?
2012.
Or 12,
Went through the keyhole.
Yeah, went to keyholes 12. I was thinking 08 for some reason.
Well, I mean, we got the comics, but...
Yeah, but...
Official book,
Straight from the pen of King.
Yeah. Just didn't feel like Roland at the very beginning. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, though, is this is a little bit earlier in his journey. Again, because I think even just the fact that he's able to fall for the girl versus, like, how he treats... I just blanked on her name. Allie. In Lud, like, or in Tull, there's just a whole.
Yeah.
I think there's just a much different Roland. Like, so I don't know if we really know exactly how much time is between there, but ultimately, I think there's enough that there's a number of changes in Roland. I feel like it's maybe not a midway point between book 4 and book 1, but it's far enough back from book 1 and closer to book 4 to where you kind of still have a little bit of like the human Roland is still there a little bit, So I appreciated it for that quite a bit. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get those hashtag Peter is Terribles ready as Alan, or I'm sorry, did Alan do it in the chat here? No, Alan did. Yeah, Alan did. Hashtag Peter is Terrible ready. Okay.
So Everything's Eventual is the story of Dinky Earnshaw, and Dinky Earnshaw went down about 5 or 6 pegs on the characters I like list.
Really?
Fuck that guy.
Why?
Fuck that asshole.
Why?
His higher than thou attitude towards the gunslingers and their way of life and everything, and how he acts towards them with the breakers and everything. Fucking cold-blooded murderer gets paid for it and lives it and doesn't have a blink of it for years. Doesn't have a shred of conscience or thought process towards that. But then he mouths off to them about the way they live their lives and how they are and everything, and just the holier than thou attitude that he has. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong in book 7, but all I could think about with Everything's Eventual is like, you fucker, weren't you the one that was getting all up in Eddie and Roland's grill about how they do things and defending the breakers and shit like that? Weren't you the one that was being all like, well, you guys are just murderers and shit like that to them? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm remembering book 7 wrong, but that's how I remember Dinky Earnshaw. And everyone's like, oh, you got to read Everything's Eventual. You'll understand. And I'm just like, wait, this guy over here that's killing people? This guy over here that's committing murder to people that, they just just like randomly like pick targets at will that don't fit their needs. That's going. They even talk about a couple of the people were upstanding people. They set back AIDS research decades by killing someone.
Yeah.
I did not like Dinky at all. Like honestly, if we do most hated characters, he's on the list for me.
Yeah.
I do not like Dinky Earnshaw anymore at all.
Interesting.
I mean, people, like I said, people just like, people's gonna say I'm terrible for it, but man, that shit, that that hypocrisy that he has towards Roland and Eddie and Jake and Susanna and everything, the quartet about, well, we're not that bad. It's like, aren't you? Like, are you really defending yourself?
But isn't that reality though? Isn't that how it always is? People, it's always easier to see like the evil with other people and then like ignore your own failings,
Yeah, and you know what? I can still call people out for that shit.
And I think I could easily see any of our quartet doing the same to the Breakers, right? Mm-hmm. Like ignoring the fact of what their nature is and just throwing it at I just think it's one of those things. It can go either way, so I don't necessarily fully fault him for it. I enjoy it because I don't think I've ever really put that much into Dinky in the Dark Tower books. This actually really grew him for me. So for me, like, I can't wait to read book 7 again to actually, because I don't think I ever same with Ted Brodigan. Like, I never put that much, like, they never reached the level of like Father Callahan.
Yep.
Exactly. So, but I think now, having read both of these, I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah.
To now have the backstory on them, to then see how I experience book 7 now, knowing them
and see
more fully. I guess
I'm fully ready to admit that I'm wrong if I go through book 7 again and I see that Dinky's actually got a point with what he's saying. But what I remember is him coming at my boy, so maybe I'm a little defensive about that, but also feeling defensive at him coming at Jake and Roland and Susanna as well, and just being like, to them. Like, it's one thing where, okay, I can admit that I'm defensive of Eddie. I mean, I've done that before, even like with Roland and everything. But you know me with Roland, he does some pretty heinous shit, and I call him out for it.
Yeah.
So when Dinky's calling him an asshole, and I'm like, whoa, you're calling him an asshole? Roland's done his stuff, and you can question his motives and everything like that. But he's never just been a flat-out bastard to cold-blooded murder a woman doing science research for AIDS cure. Like, I'm sorry, has Roland ever done anything that heinous?
I mean,
could you compare the crimes of Dinky Earnshaw versus Roland and be like, yeah, Dinky Earnshaw is such a better person than Roland? Or are they both pieces of shit?
I mean, dropping Jake's pretty fucking heinous.
It's pretty fucking heinous. One crime versus Dinky's a year and a half, 2 years of murder?
Yeah.
That's a lot, dude. That's a lot.
But overall, do you actually like the story? I mean, yeah, you may...
Great story.
Because I actually really loved the actual story, Everything's Eventual, a lot.
Feelings of Dinky Earnshaw as the character aside, great storytelling, great idea, great plot. Oh, you're a misfit, but you got a talent. Let me take you in. I love that. I love that aspect of it, kind of getting hoodwinked and everything like that.
Yeah.
The whole problem I have with it is simply Dinky Earnshaw as a character.
And Alan said you were right on one chat there. And Alan says, and then he makes up for it. Agamorphy says, uh-oh, and then gives some emojis there. And it says, Peter really is terrible. Alan says he was humanizing the Breakers. They were people. Which I think that's true. I think that ultimately that is one of his big roles there is that I do think that our gunslingers were not seeing the Breakers as anything but almost machines, right?
Like low men or agents of the Crimson King,
something
and stuff
to
like
destroy. And I think that's actually a genius thing for him to call them out on that and wake them up to a little bit, but also for King as well to put these characters in these earlier stories and then pay them off to where it's a constant reader that maybe has read everything King is going to then come to that and realize that maybe they've had the same thoughts about the Breakers because they know the threat of what the Breakers are and stuff. But then once you get there and you see it's Ted Brodigan and Dinky Earnshaw that you've already seen, it's like, oh shit, like it makes you feel a little bit where you're like, I don't know, it's humanizing ones that you almost inherently automatically dehumanize is always interesting to me. Like in general, I just think that's always an interesting storytelling thing. It's one of my biggest gripes with like the newer Star Wars movies is like the whole like having a stormtrooper flip, like then they did nothing interesting with that. And it's like there's something like it could have made an infinitely interesting story by having a stormtrooper and what that all looks like now that he's flipped, but they just never did anything with him other than him chasing one person and screaming her name the whole thing. It was because again it's humanizing a stormtrooper. Like to me, like that's fucking cool because we've only ever seen stormtroopers one way. So and I think that
I don't think you've even seen a stormtrooper with their helmets off ever. Like you never see them
No,
outside of armor. They're just
no.
a white armor and everything like that. So the very first time you ever see a stormtrooper take off his helmet is Finn in Episode 7.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, literally spends 3 movies just yelling and chasing Rey.
Yeah. Like I saw a meme where it was like Bill Burr's character. You know, they did more to develop a former stormtrooper in 15 minutes with Bill Burr than they did with 3 movies.
With Finn.
With Finn.
Yeah.
And it's true. But it's like that's the kind of stuff I always love those kind of things because because you allow like you know what an audience is going to like feel or react. So you almost like use that against them.
Mm-hmm.
You let them have those feelings about breakers, you know, we got to destroy these breakers. And then you get there. And again, if you're a reader that's already read these stories, you're just like, oh shit, Ted Brodigan. Oh shit. Like I've read these characters. Like, fuck, that makes it like, it'd be easier if they were just faceless, kind of like Tull, right? Like outside of a couple characters, Tull is just a bunch of faceless, nameless people. So when Roland mows them down, cool, it's just killing stormtroopers kind of thing. But you know, then to throw those people in, like I just love it because it stops you in your tracks to be like, oh wait a minute, hold on a second, now I have to reevaluate and like come to terms with whatever. So I love that. And again, this is obviously written at a different time, so it's not like King wrote this all stuff after the fact. No, he wrote these first, so I just love it. And I think it does. I do think it'll enrich book 7 for me when I read it. So I'm excited. Yeah. And I actually think before I get to book 7, next as I'm reading through, I think I'm going to stop after book 6 and I'm going to go back and just listen to Everything's Eventual and
Low Men and Yellow Coats.
Those just those snippets.
Yep.
And then jump into book 7, I think.
There you go.
So
and like I said, all my thoughts about Dinky Earshaw aside, the story was fantastic. It really was a well done story, and interesting to see how like they wouldn't let him have any money left over. He had to throw it away or shred it or something like that.
Yeah,
that was fascinating to me. We never really got like an explanation for it.
Yeah.
And I love how King does those little things like that.
And there's actually something on the Wikipedia. I pulled it up just for the hell of it. It says King stated in the foreword for his short story that the idea came from a dream about a person pouring change into a storm drain.
Okay.
So literally that one small thing
led to this story.
Was the seed that became this story. So
and that's just fascinating to me that they wouldn't let him keep that. And you know, and I get it. Like my thought process was, well, they don't want him to have a savings to run.
Yeah.
Don't have anything to be able to run with.
Yeah.
If he's broke every single week, you know, and they give him such small increments, here, we're going to give you $70 a week.
Yeah.
And I got thinking about that. I kind of added up like my expenses, like just working, you know, like, okay, I'm going to have a snack. I like getting a thing of yogurt, and I like getting some cheese and ham and some bread for sandwiches and stuff like that. How much does that add up to? And how much is my gas to get to and from work and everything like that? Well, if I didn't have to go to work, what would I do with my time? It just kind of got me thinking like, okay, well, I could go 1 week with eating, you know, ramen and buy a video game, a brand new video game and stuff like that. Or I'd buy a movie and that's $20 right there, you know?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It just kind of got me thinking like, man, that's interesting. But also one thing that popped into my head is that this is in the computer era. Obviously, he hooks up to modems and stuff like that. And,
the early computer era.
The early computer eras.
Yeah, right. it was published in 97, so very early.
Very early. But he doesn't buy things online. So I look at it nowadays, how would we do that? It'd almost be like they'd give us a card.
Yeah.
Like an American Express or a Visa gift card. And it'd have $70 on it.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, if you have anything left, you just cut up the card.
It just disappears. It just out of your account.
No,
right?
it just does the it just turns it just in your head just goes
gets Thanos.
Yeah, it just gets Thanos, just turns to dust.
And Alan says breakers were not the low men. So, you know, that which is true. Agamorphy says Dinky learned his lesson somewhere along the way. Alan says they gave them the choice to stay and die or leave and beg forgiveness and the Kalas. They were people, but they were responsible, and eventually they knew what they were doing.
That's my thing with the breakers is that they're always like, well, we're just humans and it's divine to break and it's fun and it feels good, and it's like, yeah, you realize you're also eating the brains of children, right? Like children are made ruined from this. Like, you know that process and what that does, right? Like, you guys all have figured this out. You're all kind of psychic kind of thing. You could read that from the guards' minds. I mean, several of them, I think Ted brings it up that they know what they were doing. So that, to me, that's where it's like, yeah, you know, it's fun to do it. It's like, yeah, but at what cost is your fun?
Yeah.
And that's where, for me, I just...
And Agamorphy has a good point. Coming into Everything's Eventual after reading Book 7 definitely could color one's opinion about Dinky, but not with Ted Brodigan and Hearts of Atlantis, though.
Yeah,
But no, but it's true though.
Wholesome
So
guy,
so
yeah.
if you really took yourself out of knowing anything about book 7 and then read it, I don't think you even have that much.
No.
That much against.
You
Like, ultimately, you are being
Yeah.
colored by the fact that you already kind of know
Exactly.
the next appearance type thing. So, yeah, I don't know. So overall, what do you think? Skeleton Crew then? Because for me, it's hard because like I really loved Autopsy Room. I loved obviously Road Virus is maybe my favorite short. 1408 was really good. So I have a really hard time comparing this and Skeleton Crew, man. I really would like. I don't know. What about you? Do you have a hard time with it? Is there like, are your favorites of them kind of split to where it's hard to pick a favorite, or could you pick a favorite between? Or and you've done some others too. If it bleeds,
If it bleeds.
do you have any? Is there a favorite now or no? Is it hard?
Like short story?
No, like collection, like Skeleton Crew versus this. Everything's eventual.
I'm going to go with Skeleton Crew.
or Hearts. No, I don't count Hearts in Atlantis, man. We talked about it yesterday on a hand
Hearts
a
of
little bit.
Atlantis is not a bunch of short stories. It's one story.
It's
broken up.
5 shorts. It's 2 novellas and 3 short stories, but every single one of them are
It's
around a
through-
central.
There's a through thread.
Yeah, there's a central theme and a central character that kind of connects them all. So I really don't want to count that as a short story one. So what about you? Do you
I gotta go.
everything's
with,
eventual?
I
or
gotta go with Skeleton Crew.
skeleton. Okay,
Dude,
Yeah,
the monkey messed me up. The monkey messed me up. Here There Be Tigers is one of the greatest,
that was a great one.
like 2 pages worth of short story that was just,
yeah.
oh my god, like
Yeah.
like slap you in the face with a fish that you just microwaved and and everything. But also, dude, I might change your opinion with this, dude. You're forgetting about the Reach. That's in Skeleton Crew.
No, not the Reach. The Jaunt.
The Jaunt, yeah, the Jaunt. The Jaunt, the Raft is in
The
Skeleton
Raft
Crew.
is really. Yeah, I have a hard. I think
Dude,
really for
the
me.
Jaunt, yeah, not the Reach, the Jaunt.
For me, it comes down to Road Virus, man. Road Virus,
Road Virus is better
so,
than the Jaunt?
Is so good to me that it pulls. And also, like, again, when I start to look at this one, Autopsy Room is really good. I mean, 1408 is really good. The Man in the Black Suits. I mean, it's tough for me, but for me, it really comes down to the Road Virus. If the Road Virus is in Skeleton Crew, there'd be absolutely no contest for me. I think that's really the one that's like tipping the scales for me to make it hard for me to pick Skeleton Crew. Because you're right, I think Skeleton Crew actually overall top to bottom is probably better. But God, Road Virus is so good. I think that one kind of makes it hard for me to make a decision on it. Survivor type as well as in Skeleton Crew, right? That's obviously pretty insanely brutal, which I love. Let's see, and then. Agamorphy says Skeleton Crew over Everything's Eventual. There were 1 or 2 stories in Everything's Eventual that just didn't grab me. And I think, and that's kind of me for both of them, though. There was a couple in Skeleton Crew that didn't really get me, but I think it was more of my mood than anything. I can't wait to come back and reread it at some point and be able to really speak to it more authoritatively. But good collections, though, yeah.
What was the one in Everything's Eventual that was about the woman having deja vu? The feeling you can only say when it's French, when it is in French. That one, I just was like, okay. All right, I guess that's here.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for that one. Word Processor of the Gods. That one was really good, too, in Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
That one really stuck with me, too. But the Jaunt, if you compare, like, my favorite from Everything's Eventual versus Skeleton Crew, the Jaunt versus, like, the Man in the Black Suit. Oh, that's a tough one, dude. That's tough.
For me, the Raft is actually one of my favorites.
I love the Raft is like number 2 for me. So it's like
really good.
That's really tough too.
All right, well, let's
emails. It's the email. Tad's gonna read us what people wrote to us.
You know that's not getting deleted, right?
God damn it.
I feel like we're just going to keep going round and round with this. But ultimately, we've read some good collections so far, but we do have some more to come. So I think maybe this year we should commit to both of us picking one and both of us reading it, and then maybe coming back to this conversation after reading another short story collection. What do you think?
Is there more?
Yeah, oh yeah. There's still a number of them that we
I
have.
thought the other one was Different Seasons that's not in print?
No,
audiobook?
no, it is. Different Seasons is. That's The Body, Shawshank, and Apt People. I actually just did that one again recently. First time I've ever done an audiobook. That one's there. We also have let's see, there's a couple in the newer realm too. See if I could I don't remember exactly. There's a couple though. Yeah, 4 Past Midnight, Agamorphy. Thank you for helping me out there. There's a couple different ones. Ultimately, and of course, The Night Shift is probably one of the most iconic. But that one is not on audiobook. If we were to do that one, it'd have to be like Kindle or hardcover. Yeah, I think that there's still a few. There is still a few that we could hit.
What was the one Gingerbread Girl was in?
I don't know. She didn't actually say which collections they were in. So, yeah, Cody also says Full Dark, No Stars. That's another one that's, yes, and that one was in 2010. So that one is a far more recent and stuff. So, yeah, there's still some others that we can hit. So,
Gingerbread Girl is sold separately, and it's only 2 hours long.
yeah, I don't buy them separately. I'd rather just buy Kindle of like whatever collection it came in or whatever. So, yeah, but that's
I decided.
I'd say definitely a to be continued. I think this is going to be an ongoing
Yeah.
thing as we go through the short story stuff. But Night Shift is probably the most iconic of them. There's been more adaptations out of Night Shift than all the others, so that will be an interesting one to get our hands on and go through. So,
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you, Ted. I'm sorry. I just read what Mike wrote in the chat. It's a couple messages up.
let's see. Many years from now, after you sell DTP to join Elon Musk, please put the email jingle in the public domain. And he says, I want to hear the jingle whenever I open my Microsoft Outlook. Oh man, that's
boy.
great.
What's the price tag we're gonna give Mr. Musk when he comes knocking?
I mean, if he does those like brain implants things, I don't think it'll be a choice.
Here it is for $1, sir.
One Musk buck.
One Dwight nickel, Schrute nickel.
All right, so let's go on over to the. I changed the things here. It's called Palaver. That's why I was missing it. So for the email, to make us bigger. So this is a fun little conversation here from Joe from Washington State.
Okay.
So he says, hi, Podslingers.
Hi.
He says, I've been catching up on old episodes lately, and for some reason I didn't listen to many podcasts for the last several months. And it's been fun hearing all the unjustified Tad is terrible jabs.
Oh, get out of here.
And then he says, insert smiley emoji for Peter.
Oh.
Unjustified. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. I'm glad to have all the support of all the people that do support me in all this slander that Peter has here on the merchandise and on the show here. So.
Joe, if you're just listening to the podcast, you can't see me glaring into the camera and just shaking my head at you right now. Just picture my shaking of my head.
And he says, as I was driving to work this morning, I began thinking about what it would look like to cross-pollinate two of my favorite fandoms. And he's really on brand for me here.
Oh, boy.
The Simpsons and the Dark Tower.
Okay.
He says, it was much more challenging than I thought. Some choices were obvious, but man, I really had a tough time with a lot of names, particularly Eddie and Susanna. I'm sure I left out many characters, let's see, especially on the Simpsons side, but if I were to spend much more time, I know I would change it a lot. It's really fun to think about. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. He has Roland Deschain as Homer.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense. Eddie Dean, it is a tough one. He put Duff Man.
Roland, we got to fight the Dark Tower. Oh, no.
Duff Man, can't breathe.
Oh, no.
And then Susanna Dean, he put Edna Krabappel, which rest in peace to the actress that voiced her.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about it, I'm like, God, there is like I started thinking about like, is there any like black women in Simpsons? And I'm like,
they actually just.
I'm like, there's literally two. Janie, that's a little girl, Lisa's classmate, and then Hibbert's wife, and she's like hardly in the show. So it's like, yeah, there really isn't.
It's funny you say that because they just cast a permanent replacement for Edna Krabappel, and it is a colored actress.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I read that today.
Okay.
That's just kind of coincident that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. I'll look that up real fast.
So Jake Chambers, Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
Oi, Santa's little helper.
Yeah.
I mean, there's part of me that thinks with Oi, I'd go Maggie Simpson. Because, Maggie is just, she seems very, like, whatever, but she's actually, like, super smart, Like, I know she's not an animal, but I don't know. When you actually go through and watch, you actually find times where, like, she's playing with her blocks and she puts them up like E equals MC squared.
Yeah.
And she's constantly doing stuff that's, like, super whatever. And I think Oi's that way, right? Like, Oi seems a certain
Super
way,
smart.
but he's actually way smarter than he
Way
would appear.
smarter. Kerry Washington has joined the cast of Simpsons as the permanent replacement for Edna Krabappel as Rochelle Payton is the new teacher. To the rapscallion Bart Simpson. I love that word.
Okay,
Rapscallion.
that's a good word. Father Callahan is Reverend Lovejoy.
Of course.
Yeah. Cuthbert Allgood is Carl Carlson. Alan Johns as Lenny Leonard.
Yep.
Not Lenny. Jamie DeCurry as Mo Sislak.
Okay.
Susan Delgado as Marge Simpson.
Oh, what about Barney?
Oh, he's coming.
Okay.
Court is Hank Scorpio. Benny Slightman Jr. is Millhouse. Calvin Tower, comic book guy. That actually is really good.
Because he's got to collect the books.
Yeah, exactly. Sheemy is Ralph Wiggum.
I'm in danger.
Randall Flagg, Sideshow Bob. That's two of my favorite characters of all time there. The Crimson King, Krusty the Clown. I think he'd have to be Dandelo, though. I think Krusty's got to be Dandelo.
Burns should have been Crimson King.
Blaine the Mono, Troy McClure.
Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You've ridden other death trains, such as
Mordred, Baby Gerald, Maggie's nemesis.
The
The unibrow baby, yeah. Gasher is Mr. Burns.
No.
Andy, many other functions. Professor Frank, I can definitely see that. Balazar's Fat Tony.
Yeah.
Jack Mort, I like this one a lot, is Principal Skinner.
Because he looks so normal.
And there's times that, especially early on, there's some things they do with him to make him like kind of like he's psychotic.
Yeah.
Like there's one time when he starts talking about like his mother and stuff, and it look in the back in the window you see like the Norman Bates house. He's like, oh, there she is now. She's looking at me. No, mother, I'm supposed to be here. I'm teaching. And it's just so they played him up kind of being kind of psycho early on, but then they kind of dropped it. But in those first like 5 seasons or so, there's a few things they do with Skinner to make it where it's like whatever. Rhea of the Coos is the crazy cat lady. Nort is Barney Gumble. Nort, the grass eater.
Oh,
that gets resurrected
because he's Bruce. Okay.
Yeah, TikTok man, groundskeeper Willie, and then Stephen King is Stephen King.
Yep.
I mean, the only thing I have a problem with here is that Hans Moleman is missing. Because Hans Moleman is the best Simpsons character of all time. One of these days, I'm going to get a Simpsons tattoo, and it will be Hans Moleman. So I've been thinking about it ever since I read this email. What do you think for Hans Moleman?
Hans Moleman.
Remembering that he's only 31 years old. So
he'd be at River Crossing, and he'd be like, why am I here?
Is there anyone?
I'm not old.
Is there anyone in there that gets killed in just some like matter of fact way? Because that would definitely fit.
Riding the lightning.
Yeah,
it was his turn to ride the lightning.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
get like the mob mentality in Lud and just have him.
Oh no, Winston in Lud. It was his birthday.
Yeah, he rode the lightning. Yeah.
Yeah, is it Winston? Is it Winston?
You shot Winston. It was his birthday.
Yeah.
That's who it was. But no, Cappy was the whatever the guy's name. His stone was the one that came out. It was his turn to ride the lightning.
No, yeah, I'm talking Winston that gets shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be Mole Man.
That should be Mole Man?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. But yes, this is definitely fun, Joe. I enjoy this. And then he signed off by saying long doze and pleasant nights. Joe from Washington State. So, I think Hans Mole Man's my biggest miss there in terms of just that I miss because I love Mole Man. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you could fill out a number of things there.
No, what you do with Hans Mole Man is you make him the one that survives and takes them to the Cradle of Blood. And then he's like, there, I won't go any further because if I'm out here, I can't die. Takes one step and a rock falls and kills him or something like that. Like the Homer statue, it would be Roland's statue. Just like wind blows and then it falls on him.
Is Andrew Quick? He's the bigger one, right?
They get stuck in the plane. No.
He's the descendant of
David.
So that's got to be Rainier Wolfcastle.
I am here. What am I doing? The goggles, they do nothing.
Oh man, yeah. I'm trying. I don't know. That would kind of be one of those fun things to like. I mean, you could do Moses Carver could be the judge because he's like kind of older black guy.
Okay,
so you could do that. I don't know. There'd be a lot of like fill in like smaller characters. Yeah, I'm sure you can go into like Magus and find all kinds of.
Oh yeah, someone just said the mayor of Magus should be Hans.
Oh, don't you do that to my Hans Mole Man? How dare you?
What? You don't like him being a bad guy?
He is not that deplorable. He is a lovable peanut.
When I look at him, he tastes like a peanut.
Yeah, Mole Man is the best. That's maybe that's a
Okay.
if people haven't if I haven't had my Mole Man love on this podcast yet, this maybe is a revelation for some. But yes, Mole Man is one of my all-time favorites.
I think I have a replacement for Oi that I would have to throw out there. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Spider Pig could really do well.
Oh, actually, speaking of replacements, Andy the Robot, Linguo.
Oh God.
Linguo dead? Linguo is dead. Yeah, that we can go on for hours with this, man. For me, I certainly
you
could.
and Simpsons.
Yes,
It's so bad.
I mean,
What about Chief Wiggum?
oh man. I mean, he'd be one of the cops in the Jack Mort door, right?
Yeah.
Incompetent cop. He'd have to be.
Hey, look at that. There's the guy that has all that stole everyone's guns. Well, hold on. I'm getting my hot dog.
Now, Mayor Magus, I think you gotta go with Mayor Quimby, right?
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Quimby.
Who was Rio the Coos was the crazy cat lady?
Slightman the senior would be Smithers. You know, he's got the glasses.
He does.
And you could totally see Smithers, like, betraying everyone.
Oh, he could.
Easily.
Yeah.
So, of course, Flanders is a big one that's missing.
Flanders. Father Callahan is Reverend Lovejoy. So Flanders would be...
That'd be a tough one.
Flanders should be someone who's bad. He really should.
They did that on one of the Halloween episodes when they
He's Satan.
when they did Dexter. They made it Flanders.
Yeah, they show like him, like it looks like he's tying off a laundry bag. Or
Yeah.
looks like he's cutting something and it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
He's got the shoe wedge and then he's got the prayer hands and it's a body cut up and he throws it in the
Yeah.
lake.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Dude, that is one opening. I come back and I watch that one occasionally. It's funny. It's
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Well, okay, so who's Flanders then? Flanders is Dandelo. Hi, diddly do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, very welcoming.
Yeah. Very welcoming. Very come into my home and let me eat your soul.
Agamorphous says Flanders. How about the religious nuts from Magus in Gunslinger? I'm thinking. What about the Manny in
there
book
you go.
5?
There you go. The Manny Falcon.
Yeah, Nelson is Court. Oh man, yeah. I almost feel like you just make the all the bullies the coffin hunters though,
Oh yeah.
and then
three.
then you get like Snake to be like the older one. I'm blanking on his name.
Jonas?
Suddenly. Jonas, yeah. Because then you have like the kids, right? Or the kids are the other
younger
ones, and then like you have Snake as like their ultimate, like leader.
Who did he put as Shimi?
Ralph.
Ralph. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I love it though, Joe. Thank you for that. That
I'm in danger.
that's definitely my brand. Dark Tower and Simpsons. I'm all about it.
I'm picturing him spilling Buzz Cola all over one of the bullies' shoes, and he just looks up. I'm in danger.
Mike says the cost to get the rights to make this would bankrupt most of Europe. That's probably true.
It's already bankrupt, so it's fine. It's fine.
Oh man,
Dude,
yeah.
especially since I just remembered Simpsons. Are we gonna get in trouble? They're owned by Disney. I mean,
Yeah, they are owned by Disney now.
Uh-oh.
With all the jokes they made about Disney over the years, it makes it hilarious. But
I know.
yeah, so that's the mailbag. Definitely enjoyed that. And yes, Hans Moleman for life. He should be our leader.
No,
Hans Moleman.
no.
Do you even have a favorite Simpsons character?
I always like Bart. I really do. Like, Bart gets up to the hijinks that I wish I could have got up to as a kid. I always wanted to ride a skateboard, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But as I got older, I did start to lean towards Homer a little bit more.
yeah. That's the natural aging.
natural progression.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm all about Bart, and then
Yeah.
later on, you're like, oh, God, I really feel for Homer. Like that's about
Poor
right.
guy.
All
But
right.
like if you're gonna talk like side character, dude, I love Burns.
Oh, dude, yeah. He's probably up there. He's probably like maybe number 2 or 3 for me.
He's so good.
Yeah, Mr. Burns is great.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. There is one character that I absolutely love. It's Otto.
Yeah.
Otto, there's a gremlin on the side of the bus. Don't worry, Bart, dude, I got him. Just runs Hans Moment off the road. It was. I just made the final payment. It's paid off. Boosh! It explodes.
I always told people back in the day when South Park first started to be new and like they're killing Kenny every episode. I'm like, they've been doing that on years with the Mole Man on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
He's died like 100 times in the show. So, which I of course love. And football to the groin, can't beat that.
Otto should be the weed eater. Nort. That's who Otto should be because he. Yeah. I don't think I need to explain it, do I?
There's the point when Bart and Lisa go to some concert, like, this place smells like Otto's jacket. It's a great one. Sorry, I don't want to spin off into Simpsons too much, but yes, that was a great email. Love it. That's a definitely a different twist to Dreamcasting for sure. But yes, there's an ample Springfield. I think that's one of those things as I go through the books now, I'll probably be like, who would people be? All right. Well, that'll be it for this episode. Let's go ahead and hit the outro stuff real quick. First of all, if you want to subscribe to us, you can do that on any podcasting service of your choice. You can stream us on Spotify or Stitcher. Find the show notes at darktowerpalaver.com. All the articles that we covered in this episode will be there, including there's some that I referenced, like that one with the
Story of her dad.
The story of her dad with Quitters Inc. And then if you want to support us, you can do that on Patreon at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. If you want to stab Peter with all those fun daggers throughout the week between shows, the best way to do that is on there because you'll have access to our Discord server, which of course means that you can post things to torment Peter, which is always fun, symbol monkeys or all kinds of things like
emojis.
that. Emojis, werewolves.
Why am I giving them ideas? What am I doing to myself? Why do I do this? I need to see someone to get answers of why I do this to myself.
And then if you want to contact us, Peter can let you know how to do that.
Go ahead
and send many emojis of all the things you send to us.
It. I don't read the emails, so that's okay. Go ahead and send them.
I read them to you.
I know he does. Our email is darktowerpalaver@gmail.com. Check out our shows. It's youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. Like, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications for when we're going live. We're also posting stuff on YouTube that's exclusive for that. We have a couple videos up now. Go check those out. And then our social media is facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. Our Twitter is @darktowerpod. That's @darktowerpod. Instagram, darktowerpalaver, all one word, no spaces. And then our merchandise is tpublic.com/users/darktowerpalaver.
Yeah, and then also with the YouTube, we do believe we haven't got down our final stuff like plans down for it yet, but there is a thought to maybe have a short reaction video to Firestarter after we see it. We
come back and just record a video straight off the bat when we watch it. That way, when you watch it, then you can just go watch the video on YouTube instead of waiting for a podcast episode that's appropriate amount of time passed where we can talk about it in depth.
Because we are going to do that as well. And I don't think we have to wait that long on movies. Books, we wait some time. But I think within probably a month of the movie coming out, we'll also have a podcast section talking about it that'll be a lot more in-depth, but maybe knee-jerk reactions and just kind of like shorter, less podcasty reactions to it. We'll probably have a video.
It's kind of like what we did with the Dark Tower movie. It's like, when we recorded that episode, we literally left the theater that is 5 minutes away from this location, and we drove here. We didn't say a damn word to each other. Came in, set up, got on. What the first thing we said about the film is what you saw on the podcast. So we're trying to do we're going to do that with movies going forward, especially stuff like Firestarter. Salem's Lot is later this year.
I can't wait for that one too, man. I'm excited.
So,
I love Salem's Lot, dude. That's such a great story.
I know.
Can't wait to see it.
Father Callahan.
Indeed. Hopefully they'll flesh him out a little bit. I don't need a ton of him because he doesn't belong that much in the story. But I want to see a little bit more than what he is in the book. Maybe just a little bit. And just give me some Dark Tower Easter eggs, please. I mean, if Flanagan can do it in Doctor Sleep, which has nothing to do with the Dark Tower, really, you can fucking do it in Salem's Lot, easy. You can do it with your eyes closed, for God's sake.
Well, it's directly related to the Dark Tower. They're eating kids with the touch.
I mean, it's. But the shine, is it the touch or is it the shine? Like what comes first here? Like what plays into what? It's
chicken and the egg.
Yeah, it's interesting questions.
I mean,
but
to be fair, the touch was introduced first.
Yeah, indeed.
So.
Yeah. All right. So we will sign off for this episode. We'll be back in a fortnight for a book club.
Yep.
So that'll be a lot of fun. Can't wait to dive back into as we move
stories.
As we move to Lud.
Right. It's the stories. They just
Oh, yeah,
literally-
yeah. No, that's
they
right,
literally
yeah.
just walked off the road. Roland's like, all right, time for story time, and walked off the road. And
That's
that's
true.
Where we
So
stopped.
we're going to get the catching up basically.
Yeah.
What we always reference with emails for new listeners, the kind of the palaver to introduce yourself. We're about to have that where Jake and everyone puts
Yep.
their stories, puts their cards down, so the quartet can kind of be on the same page.
On the same page.
That's what we're about to get to in a fortnight. So we will sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
All right, everyone in the chat, thank you guys for joining us. You guys are awesome. It's always a lot of fun with you guys in here adding to the conversation. I also love just scrolling up and seeing a lot of emojis too. Thank you guys for that. And
I hate it.
That makes me all happy inside to see emojis. Which is why I love it.
So many people to call out today. Cody, Mike, Spencer, Zach, Carol was here, Alan, Robert, my wife. That's the first time she's ever actually said anything. She's watched a little bit of shows before, but never said anything before.
And
That's the
we
first.
will definitely be doing.
We are so doing that, dude.
I don't know if we're going to be there like immediately,
No.
but we need to like plan something.
Oh, yeah.
The best thing too is where we're at. It's cold in the winter, so it might be worth like maybe not like full on in winter when it's like shady when it comes to weather.
Yeah.
But maybe when it's cold enough to like go down and get 20 degrees warmer
Yeah.
would be kind of nice. And we'll have to go down there and do that. And then I don't know whether we bring equipment down there and record straight from Vegas with reactions.
Dude, we might just do like phone video, just be like, "Oh my god," and then just post the videos.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
The It escape room. Can't wait to come face to face with Pennywise.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Flag would be much better to come face to face to. My life for him and all, but
No.
it will be fun to meet Pennywise and see what happens.
Hopefully, I don't see anyone with a 4-wheeler riding around Vegas with a bomb on the back.
Oh yeah, that he is a terrible person, attacking my poor Flag. All right,
Flag made him. He's responsible for him.
nah. All right, guys. We'll sign off with you guys as well. See you guys in a fortnight. We'll be back for story time with the quartet on the outskirt, on the
Outskirt of Lud.
outskirts of Lud, between Lud and River Crossing. Can't wait to get that. Wait, symbol monkey? Is that a symbol monkey emoji there with music notes and a monkey?
All right, I'm out.
All right, see you guys.